Hey, everybody, and welcome back to ChortleCast. I'm one of your hosts for tonight, Jake, and I'm joined by the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, the man who may cry devil, and the guy who believes clones are not real, Steven. What's up, buddy?
I didn't say that.
I pretty much just asked you, is Starkiller a real person? And you said the first one.
I jokingly said the first one.
Okay, that was a
They're
joke.
real, but it's not the original.
So I'll have you know, Steven, this is, of course, a continuation of our conversation of if Billy and Tommy from WandaVision and also Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness
I have a
are
single
real,
question.
okay?
I have a single question
that
is going to disprove your stance.
Well, hang on. Before you do,
Okay.
I just want to let you know, I took to Twitter, all right?
I saw.
I put up a Twitter poll that asked, do you believe Billy and Tommy from WandaVision are real? I gave the options yes or no. No further explanation. Just yes or no. Do you believe they are real? We had 12 votes. It was 58% no, 42% yes. So
how many times did you vote?
I didn't even vote once. I just put the poll up there. So what I will say is that while and only 12 votes, so it's not a huge pool of people by any stretch of the imagination.
Except the votes for what they were.
But I will say I'm not alone. It wasn't 100% 58 or whatever. It wasn't 100% no. So I have a feeling there are more people out there like me who believed.
Who are wrong, yeah.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. That's too strong. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, ChortleCast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We have a great time. We've got a great show for you tonight. We are going to be discussing, of course, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We're going to go full spoilers here. Steven, you took a breath like you were going to say something.
I just had a thought. Chat, let me know. Is my video synced with my audio? And are we synced to our, because we're trying a different thing here. Obviously, my camera doesn't look like poop. Are my words coming out correctly in the video?
I like how you're trying to do sign language to go along with that, just in case it's not clear.
Yes.
It's fun. Well, on OBS it looks fine. So I don't know if it's doing something weird, some sort of weird delay.
I'm not seeing anything that makes me believe one way or the other, but I just had the thought.
You're just nervous about it.
Yes, I'm just nervous. Austin, hold the spoilers till later. We'll get there.
We are going to go full spoilers here. So stand by on that. But anyway, we are also, before we jump into spoilers, we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about Trek to Yomi. Been playing that, trying to platinum that. It's going to be miserable. Maybe more miserable than Elden Ring to platinum, but I'm going to try to do it. Steven's going to talk to us a little bit about Division 2 Season 9.
Dare you?
They both start with D and I, if I'm not mistaken, so it's hard. Destiny? D-E. Nope.
Jake.
But a D. They have eyes and Division, Destiny. I don't know. There's a lot of similar letters in there. There's a couple D's, there's a couple I's.
Gonna play some Destiny.
Gotta play that Destiny. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreaker. Just a quick small topic on that. And then the back half of the show will be all spoilers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse.
So if you're wary of spoilers and you're watching, don't worry, they will be clearly telegraphed when we are talking spoilers.
I'm going to put up, I wonder if I can do this. I'm going to put up a spoiler text.
I mean, spoiler is literally in the title.
I know, but I can put spoilers. I'm going to name this spoilers. I'm going to make it, what's a great font that just screams, I'm spoiling everything?
Wingdings. Papyrus.
Lealson says Comic Sans. So here we go. Let me search that.
Comic Sans is the font you use when you want to offend someone.
Well, get ready for some offense, everybody. Let's see. We're going to make this.
Can you make it green?
Huh?
Can you make it green?
Green? Okay, Lealson wants it to be green.
Comic Sans green is disgusting.
Well, it's funny, though, because in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, red means go, and green means stop. Apparently, Lealson says green is evil in Disney, which I feel like I knew that. But
I mean,
now
depending on the
really
context, green is if we're talking like green fire, that's usually code for this person's evil. Then again, in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange uses the flames of the Faltine, which is green. I believe that's what it's called. So I don't know. You be the judge.
Lee Allison wants everyone to know that they have found more bodies in Lake Mead. I don't know what you're talking about, but
Jake, I was about to tell you that your camera was frozen, but you stood so perfectly still for several seconds to where I thought you were frozen. But you're good.
So
you're good.
Spoilers. I don't know why it's not working, but let me try it one more time, and then we'll dive in. While I'm doing this, Steven, why don't you start talking about Division 2 Season 9?
Cool.
By the way,
Jake does not care
Steven,
a lick about this.
Steven, you said something about a chat earlier. Is chat coming through for you?
I'm looking at chat.
I see it. I see it. Look,
yeah.
others Clifford. What's up? What's up,
Yeah.
Courtney? What's up, Austin? What's up, Vortex?
Do you not have the YouTube live studio open? That's just probably the easiest way to be able
Austin,
to see it.
I just want you to know, Lee Allison says you have. You're currently her favorite because you are.
You need to relink the chat because right now you're probably linked to the Restream chat and you need to link it to the YouTube chat.
You're right. You're right.
We're doing new things here, guys.
And
by new things, I mean really old things that we used to do.
Well, but did we ever connect it to? I
we
think
did.
we always pulled in Restream
no,
chat.
because we occasionally did because like. For like E3 stuff, for example, we would just bring in a straight up YouTube pop out chat. But
what up, Derpy?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to figure out that's going to be a longer problem. I wish I had thought about that. I did not even consider.
Just go to YouTube, the chat, click. We're doing some troubleshooting at the beginning of the podcast here. Do pop out chat.
Yeah, and then
you can link
do a window capture.
Well, you could even just go to the chat bar element that you've built and make the source the link that is the pop out chat. That might work.
Yep. I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
Derpy, that's overly generous, but that's a good energy that we probably need in this podcast. So stick around.
We're gonna do Doctor Strange at the back end. We're gonna give some time. First off, time to get in, but also just some space for
while Jake
talk. So
while Jake is figuring that out,
talk about something, Steven, because I gotta figure this out.
I'm gonna talk Division because Jake doesn't care. Austin, you care about this, and you're probably the only one. So this is, I guess, just for Austin. Division 2 did their Intelligence Annex, whatever you want to call it, live stream today, showcasing Season 9, aka Season 5, because we've been rerunning seasons for the past year and a half. But it is called Hidden Alliance. And it is going to be about the True Sons, which is interesting. We haven't gotten that yet. The True Sons are one of the more fun factions to fight, I think. They're the one that has the least frustrating gimmicks, I would probably say. So we're going to be fighting True Sons. We're going to be learning more about Fei Lao and why she turned on the Division. It seems like she actually didn't, but she is actually dead, so there's that. This is all revealed in the trailer, by the way. So, I think, or I'm just making this stuff up. Who knows? Either it's in the trailer or I'm making it up.
I like to think you're just making it up.
Probably so. So this is Division's first content drop in like a year and a half. Like that's not even really an exaggeration. We do know that there will there's probably going to be another year worth of content. So this season is not what they've been working on for the past year and a half. This is just phase 1 of what they've been working on. It seems like by the end of this year of content, Division 2 is probably going to die.
Yes.
Because the story seems like it's headed places that's going to start wrapping up. But who knows? I could be wrong. We do not know what the skill is, Austin, at least not to my knowledge. As far as I know, we may not even be getting a new skill. Which is interesting because I had that thought too of what the skill was, but I haven't seen anything and it's been talked about today. We know there will be 2 apparel events. There will be
I love apparel.
One of them is awful. It looks like Ghost Recon Breakpoint legs with Watch Dogs Legion chest piece, and that's just disgusting. But
why not just do 2 outfits, one Watch Dogs related and one the other one?
Because Ubisoft for their IPs that actually matter, all they do is steal from their other IPs just to get by because they don't actually like making good games. But we do know that the manhunt targets, the lieutenants are going to actually have overhauled missions. So what's good about this is that the way the seasons worked in the past was you just kind of played missions in the game that already existed without anything different about them over and over again to locate the lieutenants, and then you killed them in a bounty. So it was boring as hell. Now, each lieutenant seems like it's going to be more like the actual manhunt target, where they've overhauled a mission map to coincide with the lieutenant. So that's good. It's kind of like having new missions, which is good because we haven't had new missions since Warlords of New York at the top of 2020. Yeah, it ain't shade, Courtney. It's just I'm just spitting facts over here. Anyway, we are getting a new mode called Countdown. Okay. Countdown is where you defend a nuclear power plant or something.
That's kind of fun.
It would be if it wasn't a time mode.
Of course it is.
Of course it is, because Ubisoft doesn't know how to make actual difficulty that is not time gated. But neither does Bungie.
It's not a. I was going to say it's not a just them problem.
Oh no, it's more a Bungie problem. But Division 2 just kind of stole Bungie's playbook and did it worse. Division 1 never really had an issue with that, to my knowledge. I don't remember it anyway. But anyway, Countdown. I
figured out chat. I think. I don't know if I like how I've done it, but I've done it.
I'm seeing it. It looks better than just having the straight up window. So
yeah, I'll try to clean that up for future streams. But
cool.
Anyway.
So Countdown is a 8-player mode. I believe it's either 8 or 6. It's 2 fire teams, so I think that's 8. Basically, it's raid level content. Like you can get a team that is the size of a raid, but it is a 15-minute DPS check, basically. So if you're not running all red cores, all damage, so basically if you're not just doing the most boring type of build craft, you're doing it wrong. And I hate that. So that I'm probably not going to play Countdown. But I'm willing to try it at least once. Austin, this comes out this week.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes out in like 2 days, either Wednesday or Thursday. But it's here, and I'm glad to see that they actually did release something. Whether or not this is good, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this season that much. I'm just going to enjoy playing the game again and having something to work towards.
Right.
I need to see what else they've been working on. If we get a new game mode each season, that'd be awesome. If we get more gear, more skills, just more stuff to mix up the game throughout the rest of this year of content, then time well spent. Probably, maybe, who knows? Something tells me though, if this is their first impression for this next year of content, though, it's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah.
So I will be playing it. I will be diving right back in. But whether or not I am super stoked, none of the new gear interests me. Basically, people are calling this the season of the pulse, which the pulse skill is the skill where you activate it and you mark all the targets.
Yeah.
All of the gear is pulse based that they added. So I don't know about that. Chief. Flynn doesn't know about that either. Hey, buddy. Oh, you can't see him on the screen. On my screen, he's when I said it's pulse, he was like, whoop. He's just off screen where
his little snout is hanging out right there.
Oh, is that it?
That's his snout right there, and the Minnie is up on the couch in the shadow.
Oh yeah, that's Minnie's spot.
Yeah, she's just barely visible.
Pulse trap would be the worst thing ever. That sounds so dumb, but that sounds like something they would absolutely do. But yeah, that's Division. I will keep you posted.
At least they're doing something.
Yep.
I thought a long time ago that was dead. So,
yep.
I know they've said they were going to come back and do content, but no one. We didn't see anything.
It kind of felt like a the day before situation where they kept saying, "No, it's coming,"
right?
And they just kept changing the date.
I'm so disappointed about that game.
Yeah.
I hope it does come eventually.
Do yourself a favor and just forget it exists and be surprised when it comes out.
That's kind of what got me this far, but now You know what I mean? We came so close to the actual launch. I'm expecting
Yep.
it now. I'm ready for it.
Yep.
Anyway, whatever. Well, I'll give you a break at talking, Steven, and just I've been playing Trek to Yomi, which has been a delightful
Quick question.
indie game.
How long do you think it is before we get a mod that turns it into Shrek to Yomi, where you play as Shrek?
I'm thinking like, how did he get? I guess it's just the name Trek.
It's literally just the
Shrek?
name. Literally just the name. Like anything that's
mean,
close to Shrek, the internet has a field day with it.
It's
So
on.
how long?
It's on PC. It's published by Devolver. So
You know what? I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna literally Google Shrek to Yomi.
So Trek to Yomi, for those of you that don't know or haven't seen it, it's a game. It's a smaller indie game that's been we've seen it at a couple different showcases now, and it's basically a side-scrolling or like a 2.5D samurai game that's basically like a lot like Ghost of Tsushima in style. It's definitely chasing the Kurosawa, right, Steven?
Yes, Kurosawa.
The Kurosawa movie style. It's all black and white. It's got a film grain on it, which you can turn off, which is kind of a nice feature if that drives you crazy. But they are going hard on the art style, and that's initially what, and I think you could say this about any game, right? But the visuals is what pulled me in immediately. Obviously, I love Japanese themes and just the style and they wanted you to play out a Kurosawa movie, and they nailed the look of that. Almost to their detriment. I was telling Steven, some of the camera angles are gorgeous and the shots are amazing, but the camera is locked. It's on a tripod or whatever. So there are some times where the camera is like from the perspective of a camera laying in the grass on a field, and like maybe there's a burning building behind you, and so all I see is my shadow moving, and like there's pieces of grass that are kind of like covering up part of the screen. It looks kind of like that if you're a visual.
I kind of love that though,
and so
like,
it's beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful. But when you're trying to fight in a system that already isn't very good, and that's where I'm going next, it's rough. So what were you going to say, Steven?
It makes me think of like certain other games have done it where like forced perspective action scenes, like Marvel. These are going to be really obscure. Both of them are Marvel, actually, now that I think about it. Ultimate Alliance 3, when you play the hand level, and Daredevil's like, I do my best fighting in hallways, and it switches to like a silhouetted side scroll beat 'em up moment. I like that a lot. There's another one, a Spider-Man game. I only know this because I watched a retrospective from Always Nerdy, great smaller channel that exclusively does Marvel and DC gaming content.
Cool.
Does a lot of video essays. He's great. But he was talking about, I think, Shattered Dimensions. It was a Spider-Man game. And there's a fighting sequence when you're going up against Kraven the Hunter, where you're fighting a bunch of goons, but then your camera perspective changes to Kraven's sniper scope. So you're having to fight the minions while dodging the camera. Really cool. Like I like that as long as it's sparingly used.
Well, this one is not sparingly used, and like I'm all for the fixed angle and like you run off screen and the camera angle changes. That's all fine and dandy. It's just they went really artsy with the angles, and in a fight that's sometimes hard to deal with. But to get to my kind of complaints about this game, the combat is rough. And granted, I'm playing on hard, but like in the very first level, I switched between hard and medium, and really found minimal difference. And honestly, what's difficult about it is just the mechanics of fighting are not super polished. The biggest issue is parrying. Parrying is very difficult. It's obviously it's timed, but and you'll see a lot of people say this if you go watch some other reviews, but the parrying seems just ever so slightly off. Like you almost have to parry just a little bit sooner than you're thinking you're going to have to, or sometimes it's just a little bit later than you feel like you have to. Different weapons require different kind of parrying strategies. Like there's a spearman who I still don't really know how to parry him. I've just kind of gotten to where I know
Use
when to
wind
dodge.
stance, obviously.
Well, yeah. See if I could switch to wind stance, it all work. There's none of that. There's no stances that I can tell. But anyway, parrying is just rough. And there's like this weird slow down, almost a bullet time that happens when you connect the parry, but it's not like you have no control of that. So sometimes if you're trying to set the pace to get in a combo or something, it can be a little disorienting. So I really hope let us know if you guys. You're saying
that's just me.
I thought it was Brody, and I was like, "Whoa, Brody's coming in and being all technical."
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to reiterate just in case there were any issues because studio's saying that there's a keyframe frequency issue. I just want to make sure that they aren't facing. If you're facing any technical issues like excessive buffering or anything like that, see comment that I just made. Just let us know so we can tune this setup.
Trying a new setup, but anyway, so the gameplay is a little bit difficult. I do like it though. The fighting is kind of interesting because it's a lot like in any other like side scrolling fighting game, I guess you could say, like Mortal Kombat or something like that. There's a lot of use of like directional combos. So like one really fun move that you start off with is holding up on the stick and then pressing your fast attack, and it does these two like really fast uppercuts. And then obviously if you're pushing forward, you can do like a thrusting motion for either a heavy or a light attack. I haven't really experimented much with down, but I'm sure there's something like that. There's a backwards strike, which can actually turn you at the same time. There's a separate button for just turning which way you want to face. So it feels a lot like a fighting game in that sense. If the parries were better, and as I've played it, I've gotten a little bit more used to it. But I still think it could. I wish I went looking to see if they had that slow-mo, if there was maybe an accessibility setting that was just like, don't do the slow-mo. Because even taking off that, I think would help. But anyway, hopefully that's something they'll patch at some point. But visuals are really what is the big thing from this. The story is a little bit hard to follow. For one, it's in Japanese with subtitles, which the Japanese voice actors are amazing, and it sounds like I'm watching a Kurosawa movie. But when I'm already struggling to parry and I'm having to fight all these people off, I can't read what's being said. I don't have that. It's hard enough for me to read and watch at the same time, let alone like fight and read and watch. Like I can't handle that. So I'm a little fuzzy on what's happening in the story. But from other people that I've listened to their reviews, they all kind of agree that the story is kind of so. It definitely is pulling in a lot of like Japanese mythology. Like I just did a level where all the collectibles were these like trading card looking things, and they all had different Japanese mythological monsters. And so I was reading up about a bunch of those, and I'm actually fighting one of them right now. So it's really cool in that aspect. It definitely leans more into the, not mystical, but like mythical side of Japanese. It's a lot like, when Ghost did the Legends, and it was a lot more, kind of supernatural. This definitely leans more into that because you visit Yomi, which Steven and I learned the other night is basically one of the hells in Japanese folklore. So
it's the equivalent to Sheol or the realm of Hades.
In Roman culture, So
Greek.
Anyway, Greek, anyway, it's been fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to platinum it. It's gonna be hard. I have to do 3 playthroughs. So right now I'm doing hard. Which is very hard. I can basically be killed in like 2 hits. And enemies take a lot more.
Yeah.
And then what's up, Joe? And then after that, I unlock a super hard mode, which is one hit kill. And I am hoping that that means one hit. Well, it's supposed to mean you hit them once they die, they hit you once you die. And I hope that applies to bosses as well, because if bosses are not one hit, one kill, I'm probably done. I'm probably not going to make it. So, anyway, perfect timing. Asher just cried, so I got to go deal with him for a second. Steven, why don't you talk about Monster Hunter?
I have to wait for you for that, but I will talk about something. Flynn says hello. He is chilling in his seat. Hey, buddy. Flynn. Hey, bud. That's Flynn. Hello, Joe Vortex. I already said hello to Vortex. Take that hello back, Vortex. I already gave you one. What have you guys been playing this week or doing this week? Let me know in the chat. For those who are just tuning in or just kind of lurking or whatever. Yeah, Flynn absolutely would say that. We will be talking Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness spoilers at the end of the podcast. We are not currently there yet. We're knocking out all of our other talking points first, of which we will be talking about Monster Hunter Rise here in a second when Jake gets back. And then after that, we will be getting into spoilers. So for anyone avoiding spoilers, you're safe to stick around for a little bit longer. But for those here for the spoilers, hang in there. We're almost there. It's going to be fun. I will say this. This has nothing to do with the plot of the movie or anything like that. Just to give you guys context as to how the discussion is going to go. For anyone who remembers our Spider-Man No Way Home debacle, which made me never want to talk about Marvel movies ever again. Jake absolutely adored the film. I did not. And so that's how that went. Jake and I, for the most part, agree on this one. So it's going to be fun. Okay, Courtney. So you seem like you're really into Devil May Cry this lately. So I'm going to have to fast track playing DMC again, I guess, because there's no way I'm going to let some other channel steal Courtney away from us. Yes, this is Flynn right there. That is Flynn. He's a Husky Chow Lab. He's mostly Husky. Secondly, he's Chow Chow. Thirdly, he's a Labrador Retriever. We know that because we did his DNA tests. Then Minnie, you can see way in the back there in the shadow. That's Minnie. She's my Dachshund Terrier. Jake did point out, well, I won't mention that because that's spoiler adjacent, and this is a safe space for spoiler avoiding people. I'm being shown that our numbers just shot up concurrent. So if you're just tuning in, hey, what's up? We will be talking Doctor Strange spoilers here in a minute. Jake, the guy to my right, I believe that is how we're allocated right now. He is tending to his son real quick. And then we'll get into our next. I just watched the playback. I pointed in the wrong direction. That's amateur move, Steven. But we'll be talking about Monster Hunter Rise first. That's going to be a quick 10-ish minute discussion. And then after that, we're going to move on to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness spoilers. I know, Vortex. I saw. Don't at me. But, while we wait for Jake to come back, just because I would like for him to be here to talk about the Monster Hunter Rise stuff. I would love to know for anyone who's tuned in, maybe new here, say, hey, we have a chat there for a reason. We'd love to talk to our people. I'm getting roasted, absolutely destroyed in the chat right now for not pointing correctly when I'm carrying the weight of this stream on my back currently. It's fine. Talk about Gotham Knights, Jake says. Okay, I'll talk about that real quick. But first, for anyone in the chat, what have you been playing? What have you been watching? All that kind of stuff. Hey, Aaron, what's up? Let me know here in the chat, and I will say hey. So Gotham Knights, for those who do not know what it is, Gotham Knights is It is a game that seems to follow Arkham Knight, but it doesn't. Still kind of confused on that. But basically, it is a kind of action RPG where you play as the Bat family, one of four being Robin, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood. And it seems like it's going to take kind of an Avengers route to its gameplay, but it's going to be open world. So it's going to be like kind of a cross between Avengers and the Arkham City, Arkham Knight that preceded it. This is my understanding. I wish Akib was here because he's our resident Batman expert in terms of the gaming stuff. But it's supposed to come out in October this year. We got 2 news stories today regarding Arkham or Gotham Knights. This is current. That is correct, Jake. Suicide Squad is the follow-up to Arkham Knight, but Gotham Knights seems to follow up a very similar timeline. It's weird. I don't have the answers there. But Gotham Knights, the 2 stories that are significant from today, I will go with the one that is legitimate first, and then the second one will be the rumor. First being, we have a confirmed showcase that's going to be happening later this week where we will be looking at the combat or gameplay of Red Hood and Nightwing specifically. I don't have the exact day on that. Sorry, I opened up a new Google tab and it nearly killed me. Let me do a quick Google search. I put in Arkham. There's no C in Gotham. Gotham Knights showcase. Let's see what it shows up. Oh, this is tomorrow. So Red Hood and Nightwing are getting a showcase tomorrow, 6 a.m. PT. Do with that what you will. I may have the ability, the multitasking capability to Google that and talk to you guys at the same time, but I do not have the multitasking capability to convert time zones while talking to you guys. I do have my limits. I'm only human. Get over it. So the second story that we have from today regarding Gotham Knights, and this is more exciting. Like one of them is like, oh, cool, we'll learn about more characters. Personally, I'm the most excited about Robin. Red Hood, I'm curious, but they've confirmed that Red Hood's not going to kill people. So like, what's the freaking point? Like he's got guns. It's Red Hood. You know, like whatever, it's fine. So far, the current understanding of Gotham Knights is that it is up to 2 players co-op. Vortex, are you hunting at the fact that Red Hood does not kill people? He's non-lethal in this game? Because I agree. But he will use guns. He will use firearms, but it's probably going to go off of the Arkham Knight logic where you can run over people with the Batmobile or hit them in the face 4 times with rubber bullets and they're okay. I feel like the Arkham games play it very fast and loose with what is non-lethal. Anyway, so far, Gotham Knights will be 2-player co-op, up to. So you can play a solo or you can play with 2 players. There is a rumor floating around based on, I believe, some kind of rating from, some PlayStation thing somewhere, one of those things that just kind of shows up that raises questions that hints at it possibly being 4-player, which you should do that already. And I understand that's a big jump. Like when looking at games that have to do with like power creep or power increase as you play the game, like Outriders, for example. Outriders is a game that we play on the channel a good bit. It is a 3-player co-op shooter, kind of like a third-person Diablo in terms of like how powerful you feel. And they play tested the idea of doing 4-player co-op, but they walked away from it being like, there's just too much on screen. Things die too quickly. Like it's a big balancing issue every player you add. So I would be shocked if this deep in development, they were like, yeah, we've updated to be 4 players, but there are ways to get around it through like player scaling. So like make it to where enemy spawn numbers increase by a percentage based on how many players are in the game. There's stuff to do, but it just depends on how tight the combat is, because I haven't played an Arkham game in a while. So I don't know how well, difficulty aside, just flow of gameplay, I don't know how well an Arkham game's combat would handle 4 players fighting mobs of enemies at the same time. If they were prepared for that, you could do some really cool stuff where like you could do like 4-person takedowns to where like Robin, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Red Hood all take part in taking out one poor hitman's life.
I was gonna say, those games were already so brutal on takedowns. Can you imagine 4? I mean, just even 2 would be rough. But yeah,
you got like Robin jumping up behind him, choking him with his stick, and then Red Hood just shooting him in the chest, and Nightwing's underneath just uppercutting his balls, and then Batgirl's hacking his bank account.
Then she smacks him with a laptop, and that's the end. Yeah, I'm on Team Batgirl. That's who I call playing. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So you said this is tomorrow?
The showcase about Nightwing and Red Hood is tomorrow. That is confirmed.
What was the time again?
6 a.m. PT is what I saw.
So 8 for us, I think, right?
That sounds right based on conversion, but that seems really early to do that sort of thing.
It does.
But
you said 6:30 PT or 6 PT?
I believe 6 PT. Let me look it up again.
I don't know why you almost choked there. Yeah, bless him.
Because
Asher, I don't know if he's teething or what, but he is like, I need somebody to lay down with me. So Lee Allison has jumped in. So everybody give Lee Allison a cheers emotion emoji. Emotion emoji in the chat.
6 a.m. 6 a.m. PT.
So I'm pretty sure that's 8.
I think that's a 2-hour difference.
Do you want to try and do a reaction stream to that?
Hey, if you can wake me up, yeah. Also, I just closed the window that I was using to watch the chat, so hang in there. I'll be right back.
I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, we might do a reaction stream to that. I don't know. So
that could be fun. Speaking of tomorrow, were you doing something?
I was just gonna say I super hope that rumor about 4-player co-op on that game is true.
You understand my skepticism though, right? Because that's a big change.
Oh yeah, it's a huge change. And like the fact that we're just now hearing about that, like I forget, Brody or you or somebody in our group chat was like, oh, maybe that's why it got delayed.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it got delayed like a while ago, and if we're just now hearing about this, that seems like a pretty
I feel like
large...
that would have leaked a bit.
I mean, that very well could have been the decision. I'm just surprised we didn't hear about that until now. But I could be, who knows?
1 second, I'm responding to a text from a potential future collab.
So let's transition here into Monster Hunter, and then after that, we're going to talk Doctor Strange spoilers. So buckle in for all that.
Speaking of tomorrow, Monster Hunter Rise is getting, unless if I completely botched the dates, tomorrow, Monster Hunter Rise is getting its Sunbreak showcase. Sunbreak is the next expansion for Monster Hunter. World had Iceborne, which completely changed the game. And Monster Hunter is known for, or at least it has in the past, Birdie could be here to correct me if I'm wrong, but usually Monster Hunter, after a while of being live, will have a really big expansion or some kind of update that changes it to include a whole new rank of, or a whole new tier of monster hunts, basically adding the game part 2 or part 3, whatever you want to call it. In World, they added, I forget what it's called, but it was like a grappling hook basically on your wrist that you could use to hit the monster and then like latch to them and do a quick attack, or you could load it with different like ammunition to hit the monster with. It was a significant gameplay change, and that just happened in an expansion. So we're going to learn more about what Sunbreak is going to add. I'm really excited. One thing that we've seen for sure, and those that know about, one of the things I love the most about Rise is the Palamutes, which is the dog companions that you can have, of which I recreated my boy right here. But we did see in a very quick shot in the trailer for Sunbreak that Palamutes can have like back-mounted bowguns. So basically, like you can turn them into a moving turret, which sounds amazing. So we do know there is going to be significant addition to tools that we have as hunters. And so that got me thinking, just to do a quick discussion of this, because everyone here probably knows I'm obsessed with Monster Hunter at this point. Rise really, really hooked me on the series, and I am doing my absolute best to get Jake to feel a fraction of that. So that had me thinking, Jake, you don't hate the game.
Mm-mm.
No,
not
you
at all.
like you like it, but it's not one that you're like itching to play.
Yeah, I
alone
don't
or
have I don't have any desire to go in on my free time and and play it.
And so that got me thinking, since we know that we can get significant, like big changes to the game from these expansions, that had me thinking, Jake, if you could have like if you could have a list or just a few laundry or like shopping list items, whatever, of things you would add to the game that would really hook you, what would they be?
Well, first would be if it could do my laundry for me. That would be great.
I'm sure that Palicos can already do that.
They probably can.
That seems you have a house in Monster Hunter Rise. I would not be surprised if there was a Palico just doing your laundry.
There probably is. Isn't there the housekeeper Palico?
Yeah.
She's probably doing our laundry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
See, Steven asked me this question in our group chat, and I even told him then, I was like, I don't know. And I still don't really have like a great answer. The thing for me is I feel like I can never catch up to everyone, whatever. Steven is always in like the high rank. I'm at the end game on this thing, and then he has to kind of drag me through the 3 or 4 layers of low rank missions, and then there's usually some high rank missions you got to do just to get to the real good stuff. Like I wish that stuff could be taken away somehow, and it just would be, hey, here's a kit with like some high level gear that you can equip. Here's a what are those food we eat in that game?
The
Dodo bunny dango
dodo rolls.
So here's a bunny dango that will get you to max level or whatever, so you can jump into Sunbreak. Yeah. Like that's what I really need. But I don't know.
So something that they actually did in World that they've done in Rise that I noticed it like the day after we streamed, is they added armor and weapon sets that are designed for new hunters, that you just purchase it with money, I think. And it's designed to get you through that low rank stuff. So I don't know if you've grabbed that yet, but you totally should.
I probably have, because I did a lot of updates to my armor last time we played.
I think it's the very top option. But I'll have to look. And based on what you were saying, I don't think they're going to do that. And I just because Monster Hunter is one of those games where, because I feel like because the player base loves the grind, like they love like having to go in and put in the work and like learn the weapons and everything. To my knowledge, they've never had a fast track of any kind. Because I think it even says in Sunbreak, like on the pre-order page or something, to play this content, you will need to complete this quest in Monster Hunter Rise. So you will have to complete high rank, or whatever. But so I doubt. Well, it's basically confirmed that they won't have that. But I do hope that gear will help.
I don't blame them for not having it, because that's like cutting half your content or whatever.
Right.
So no, I don't blame them for that. But that's what I'd need, I guess. As far as like cool things, like you were saying, like an example could be like, what if they added a grappling hook, and what if they added this or that? Like I feel like the Palamute for mobility already added so much. I mean, I really don't know anything from a mobility standpoint. The only thing would be if we could somehow fly. If we could somehow if you run gun lance and are an absolute mad lad, you can learn how to fly. That's totally a thing that you can do. But there you go.
I think that was intentional, Joe. I think Palamute is a play on words with a pal that is also a dog, and a Malamute is a dog. So I think they just slapped those together and
It
made
was a real easy jump for them to make.
Yeah, yeah. Because like Calico is cat, pal that is a cat is Palico. You know, they didn't have to try hard. But yeah, so like if there were any changes you could make to weapons or any additions to weapons, like what would get you really excited as far as like gear wise? Like what kind of concept? And they won't add any new weapons, but I mean they probably will add new skills and stuff like that make the weapons different.
I was about to say that's kind of like the best thing about this game is that there's so many different weapon types and they all have different skills and things that are attached to them. So like I don't know what else they could add.
Like to me, I guess something that I think would be really cool is I would love the insect glaive to have like a second kinsect, like being able to use two kinsects. I think that'd be really neat. I don't think they'll do that,
right?
But that's like my favorite part about the insect glaive is utilizing the kinsect, so you're basically attacking from two fronts. I think that's really cool, but.
Yeah, I always forget to use my kinsect when I'm using.
That's like the most important part of the weapon.
I know it is. I always forget how to send it. I always accidentally send it, and I know that it's important to send it to like the head, the tail, or the chest, or whatever. And it's like,
yeah.
I never know how I'm sending it, but I'm sometimes sending it. But anyway, okay, Steven, are we ready to move into spoiler territory?
I think you're just really excited to put Green Comic Sans
Are you ready?
on screen.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Boom.
I can't see it yet. It's
okay,
like
give it a second.
It's
gonna be there. There you go.
Okay.
So
we're doing spoilers.
We're in spoiler territory. We're about to rip into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. How do you want to do this, Steven?
I've got my notes.
Now, are your notes in chronological order?
Yes, because I took them as I was watching the movie.
Okay, great. Let me do this. How about we do this? Let's do a very quick plot summary. I'll give it. Feel free to jump in and not give commentary, but correct me if I miss a detail. Let me just give a brief summary. Okay. So the movie starts off with an alternate. What do they call it in a variant?
It's not a variant. Because timelines, unless if this just isn't true, gosh, it's going to be good discussion when I interrupt him 3 words in. But variants are related to time travel specifically and timelines. Multiverse is different from timelines in that it is a different multiversal version of Doctor Strange, not a version of Strange that veered off of the timeline.
Fuck.
Confused yet?
No. God dang. That really frustrates me because oh Jesus.
Because the writer of Loki, the series, wrote this film and they couldn't even stay consistent. And then the mad lad, I don't know why I'm saying mad lad today, he had the gall to say in an interview, yeah, we worked really hard to make rules for the multiverse when his show that he was referring to didn't even have to deal with multiverse.
See, I was under the impression that those branches in the timeline were multiverses, but you're right. Now that I'm sitting here
completely
analyzing
different premise.
Yep. Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. 3 words in again. Here we go. Back to the plot. So, another Doctor Strange.
Call him Defender.
He's Defender Strange. He's Defender Strange, yes. An alternate multiverse Doctor Strange, and a new character, America Chavez, are running in this crazy dimension that's in between dimensions, apparently. We find that out later. And they're chasing after this book, but they're being chased by this like ribbon demon that's glowing and everything. They're talking about America's powers, which if you don't know from the comics, America has the ability to jump between multiverses. She can travel through these star portals that she can create, blah, blah, blah. We find out America doesn't know how to use her powers. This thing is trying to take her powers. They're going to use the book to stop the thing.
Book of Vishanti.
Ashanti, yes.
Vishanti.
Shit hits the fan, and Defender Strange decides he's done defending, and he's going to take America's powers. America's like, but you're my friend. And he's like, the grand calculus of the multiverse. And then he gets stabbed and he dies.
Yeah.
In panic, she creates a star portal, sucks Defender Strange and herself into the MCU universe that we know and love, that we apparently find out is called 616 in this. We'll get there. Just for clarity's sake, that's where I'm talking about. We catch up with Doctor Strange. He wakes up from a dream. This is important. This is so important. He wakes up from a dream, and he has apparently witnessed what we as the audience has witnessed. And
which means that your dreams, there's actually a disembodied camera.
We will get there. He wakes up, throws on a suit, looking snazzy as hell, goes to Christine's wedding. She's marrying some dude because Strange was blinked, and in the decimation, he was gone for 5 years.
Thank you for using the proper term.
And he was out of the picture, so she moved on. And she's happy. He's like, I hope you're happy. And she's like, are you happy? And he's like, yeah, I'm happy. And somebody actually asks him too, because I think this is important.
But he also kind of low-key tries to make her change her mind.
he basically was just like, I'm sorry this didn't work out between us.
He's like, let me fill that glass of wine with magic. Hey, leave your husband.
Also, is that like okay? Can we just? I guess people know who he is, right? I felt like that was a little out there.
Is what okay? Him
not
being like, hey, I'm Doctor Strange, or him being like, hey, leave your husband that you've been married to for 10 minutes.
Specifically, him just snapping her finger or snapping his finger and turning her water into wine. Like, was that okay? Like, is that a thing he can just magic
he literally jumps out the window minutes later in his suit.
That's true. Whatever. Anyway.
And her husband's a big fan.
Minutes later, we see a commotion in the city. Of course, we're in New York. Doctor Strange, suits up to go deal with the threat. It's this octopus tentacle monster with runes on it. It's attacking.
Not Shumagorath. It's like Gigantor or some stupid name, but it's not Shumagorath.
It's a big
octopus. Thought I'd clarify
thing.
Because if it was Shumagorath, that would have been interesting.
But it's
not.
It's chasing America. Doctor Strange and Wong stop it. They catch up with America. She's like, I'm from another multiverse. And she's like, what do you guys know about multiverses? And it's just like, how much should they? Like, why would they? Are they supposed to know? Anyway, they have a brief conversation about, we just dealt with the Spider-Man problem. And then they're like, prove that you're from another multiverse. She shows them Defender Strange. They're like, that's pretty convincing. And then at some point in here, she starts to explain that, like, our dreams are portals into the lives of our multiverse selves, which is a fact that you just have to, that you are handed, and it is very important. So
you aren't handed it. They take it and they like
shove it down
your throat, and then you're like, wait, what? And they're like, don't worry.
Just swallow.
We're going to hand it to you again several times in this movie.
So anyway, they're like, oh, okay, this is her. Hey, did you notice that octopus thing had runes? Oh, that's witchcraft. You know who could help us with witchcraft? Wanda. So Strange goes to visit Wanda. She's in this idyllic apple garden.
Which this isn't in my notes, so I'm going to interject here.
Okay.
When did she out herself as a witch? Because she's stayed isolated ever since she learned how to do witchcraft.
So here, yes, 1000% yes. Doctor Strange should have been in WandaVision. That would have solved.
He was going to be.
Many problems.
But guess why he wasn't in WandaVision?
Please tell me.
Because the Me Too movement was happening, and they didn't want it to come off as here comes a white guy to solve your problem.
Well,
that is 100% the reason. Look it up.
I will get to this conversation again, but the end credits scene from WandaVision does a lot for me personally, and I feel like we could have had two and just had Doctor Strange show up and be like, what's been going on? And that would have solved a lot. Anyway, regardless, we're here. She's
Her name wasn't the Scarlet Witch yet, Joe.
She's like...
She just got the name Scarlet Witch at the end of WandaVision, right before the Westview incident ended, and she left and went into isolation. Mm-hmm. And then we got to this movie. So technically, the Scarlet Witch is foretold in prophecies, but I don't believe Strange knew that she was the Scarlet Witch. Also, the Scarlet Witch is now the MCU's version of Dark Phoenix, because they don't know how to not do Dark Phoenix as soon as they legally can.
It's a whole thing. The more I think about it, there's no reason he should have gone to her for witchcraft.
None whatsoever. But the movie needed him to.
Yes. God. Okay. Anyway, they're in this idyllic place. He's like, "Hey, I got this girl. This demon's trying to chase her. It's got some witchcraft involved. You're the expert. I could have gone to the guy with the mohawk and the arrows, but you were the better choice." And then she says, well, why don't you bring America to me? And then he stops, and she's like, "You never told me your name, did you?" And it's like, "Nah." And then she like reveals that he's in a hex, and it's all decimated, like red, evil orchard, which, where the hell are they? Like, are they in another dimension? Like, what's happening here? I don't understand. Anyway,
they're in another hex.
It's okay. Whatever. She's basically like, you get to break the rules, and that makes you the hero. I break the rules, and that makes me the villain.
Which makes fair? No sense.
I mean,
he didn't break the rules. He didn't. When did he break the rules?
All the time.
When?
He wasn't supposed to use the time stone. He used the time stone.
And what was the result of that?
He wasn't supposed to. I mean, he saved the world, but yeah.
Yeah. So, what was the result of Scarlet Witch breaking the rules?
I mean, she terrorized the town. So
terrorized town, PTSD for a multitude of people, literally no good outcome. That seems comparable.
Okay, all right. You know, you got a fair point, Steven. Anyway,
I'm having a great time.
Basically, she's like, you can either give her to me nicely or I'll take her by force. He's like, well, you're gonna have to come against Carmitage. We go to Carmitage. There's a random Minotaur there for some reason. He's my favorite now, though, and I love him, and I'm glad he didn't die.
Hold on, Akib, we're talking Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness spoilers.
Hence just the green spoilers.
Hence the title of the podcast that you clicked on, so just be aware. Continue.
Right, anyway, they're at Carmitage. They, battle stations, whatever. Everybody ready?
Okay.
She shows up.
Battle stations. Was that really? I felt like it was more so just kind of be here stations. Battle stations would imply that they actually tried to put up a fight with more than just bows and arrows.
Well, see, the bows and arrows I thought was interesting because in the back of my mind, I was like, y'all are all wizards.
Yep.
Are the bow and obviously these are magical bows. They are. We see that.
Yep.
But is that like the best option? Surely there was something else they could have done.
It's not the best option. Also, you could even argue, well, that's how Carmitage defends itself. That's just, that's their way. They go out of their way to show sorcerers from other places in the world showing up to help.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the whole London sanctum comes through.
Yeah, just so they could get the joke of it's custom to bow to the Sorcerer Supreme, that whole stupid thing, which we've never seen before, but okay. Continue.
Anyway, Wanda shows up. Strange goes up. It's like, last chance to give up, and she's like, I'm not giving up. They fight. She kicks ass because she can basically just do whatever she kind of feels like doing, it seems like. Hang on, I'm trying to show.
I showed it.
Okay, thank you. Basically, they defend for a little bit. It ends up being basically just Wong, Strange, and America. I think Strange traps her in the mirror dimension for a second.
Yes.
We get some real freaky horror stuff happening as she's using reflections. She breaks out.
We get a moment that makes absolutely no sense when Strange is like, cover the pools. That's where reflections are. And you clearly see America cover up 2 pools.
And then
she looks at a third one. She's like, is that a pool?
She's like, my hair looks great today. Did I put my contacts in? Let me get in close. Anyway, Wanda breaks out. Real freaky scene there. I forget exactly what happens, but basically, America gets triggered. A fight
ensues, and America's in danger, so she
opens a portal. Her and Strange go through. Wong is left to fight Wanda. He's lucky he won. He's lucky he lived. I really thought Wong was going to die in this movie. I told Allison going into it, I was like, Wong is dead. I can just tell you right now, Wong
they
is
won't
dead.
kill him.
And they didn't
He's
kill
too
him.
important. He's too important to the MCU right now. If you haven't noticed, they like Wong better than they like Strange.
Yeah,
well, it's probably, and I don't want to be that guy, but it's probably because he's more Asian representation, and we don't need any more white guys. And I like Wong.
I love,
but
Wong.
Like they're really pushing Wong right now.
Yeah, he's great. That actor's great. I'm all about it. Anyway, Wong survives. Just future spoilers, but anyway, they go through the portals, and this is called Multiverse of Madness, but we only ever see one other multiverse. So take that as you will.
So the scene
Except
that you've
for
seen
this
in the trailer,
where they're going through all these different multiverses, that is it. There's maybe a minute long, 30-second long scene of just a bunch of different worlds coming at you real fast. They turn.
You've seen it in the trailer, and that's the most multiversal madness that we get in the entire film.
They turned,
except for the madness that I felt when I was watching this movie and realized that I had been tricked into watching a horrible film.
They land in this utopian New York that's covered in grass and greenery, has a bunch of like super high-tech looking technology. They kind of start to wander around. I'm sure we bounce back to Wong and Wanda, but I'll come back to them in a minute. So I don't know if this may jump around a bit, but basically they wander around. They say, why don't we go find the Strange of this universe? They go to the Sanctum, but it's not Strange. It's Mordo.
Yes.
Yeah. Mordo, who was the wizard or sorcerer in the first Doctor Strange movie, who was Strange's friend, but by the end of the movie and in the end credit scenes, he is like murdering other sorcerers.
He is eliminating the amount of sorcerers that are in the world. We got that tease 6 years ago.
Has never been
resolved. We're still waiting to figure out what that means.
Has never been resolved. When Strange sees him, he's immediately panicked because he's like, this guy hates me. But apparently, in the quote unquote in this world, they were friends. And so he welcomes him in. He
hugs him once, and then that's enough for Doctor Strange to be like, well, this guy's clearly not a threat. Let me drink the tea that he gives me.
Yes, he gives them tea, drugs them both. They get captured by the Illuminati. Which I was personally frustrated because I was under the assumption that the Illuminati would be a force outside of the multiverse that was kind of governing the multiverse, almost like the Watcher, but whatever.
That would have made a lot more sense and been a lot more compelling, wouldn't it? But now we can't do that ever again because they had to blow their load with this dreck.
And blow their load they did. Wanda uses the Darkhold to perform a spell called dream walking. Because again, remember that your dreams are you living the life of your multiverse self, okay?
Never have we had a movie where dreams are more important since Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Dreams, very important in this movie. Also, I'm sure before we jump back to Wanda, there was a moment where Doctor Strange witnesses a memory, then he witnesses one of America's memories.
We'll talk about that in my notes because I thought that was the stupidest
hang on. I just want to say this one line because it's funny about dreams. He says to her, "How do you know you're the only one of you?" And she says, "I don't dream." And we're just, that's it. Good enough for me.
That's them taking that fistful of context and shoving it even deeper down your throat and being like, take it. You have no choice. That's our explanation. Deal with it. Moving on.
Akib brings up a great point. There is the evil Doctor
Strange
world,
doesn't count.
But it's an incursion. I don't count it. Anyway.
It's a dead verse.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Back to Wanda. Wanda is about to do a dream walking spell. She activates it. She takes possession of her other multiverse self. She has a moment with her boys. I don't know why this didn't break her to begin with, because it is what ultimately ends up breaking her in the end. But anyway, she has a moment and then is like, I forget, somebody, there's a survivor at Kamatage who comes to aid Wong. Wong is like, cut me loose. We need to destroy the book. And the person's like, many are dead, but it cannot be you.
God. Hold on. I was looking at Jeremy's text. Are we at the part with the Darkhold?
Yes.
I loved her delivery because it was so unintentionally hilarious, because she's like, Wong's like, you're alive. And she's like, yes, but many are dead. like she's like, yes, I'm alive, but so many are lost. Like,
anyway,
the tone is so bad.
She stabs the book. She dies. Wanda comes out of her dream, escapes. She's kind of caught in like a back and forth for a second. It was kind of weird. Anyway, she looks at Wong, is like, you're the Sorcerer Supreme. You obviously should have photographic memory. Tell me all the spells from the Darkhold. And he's like, oh, the Darkhold was actually a copy from this mountain that's really hard to get to. And she's like, well, guess we're going to this mountain. They go to this mountain. It's apparently a temple to the Scarlet Witch, which is very convenient, but okay. And she basically gets set up to activate the spell again. Back to Doctor Strange. She's with the Illuminati. He's in the Illuminati. We meet an alternate Christine, who is the night nurse. Is that what her title is? I don't know that we ever hear that, but anyway.
No.
What is it? It's something like that, though.
She was implied to be the night nurse in Doctor Strange 1. She's not. She just kind of was a nurse that happened to help a superhero. Well,
anyway,
but I think it was like she was. Move on.
She's leading research at the Baxter Institution. Okay, I screamed when that happened. I was like, "Oh, well, I know what's about to happen later."
I rolled my eyes.
Anyway, they are researching multiverses because that's a big concern for them. She tells us that our universe is 616, which is hilarious, as Steven and I discussed.
We'll get to that.
Okay,
we'll get to that. It's in the notes. It's a very big one in the notes.
Basically, he's like, let me go. We were friends. What was our relationship? Basically, same thing as in our world. They biffed it. He gets taken to the Illuminati by a bunch of Ultron droids, which never really get addressed. They're just there. I mean, they could have been anything. They could have been androids. If it didn't say the name Ultron when it dies in a scene, you wouldn't.
It said it a few times too, just to make sure that you stupid fanboys that are creaming your pants every time you hear the Baxter Building and other cameos, just make sure you heard that one.
I heard it once. I did skip the Bruce Campbell cameo. When Strange and America first arrived, they run across a hot dog stand. I think America steals the hot dog. She thinks
it's a Pizza Papa stand.
Pizza Papa, that's it. She loves pizza, and I don't blame her. Anyway, she steals them. Strange curses him to punch himself, and it was a great cameo.
Which I get. Bruce Campbell is a great physical actor. That's the entire reason they did that. Bruce Campbell is great. More Bruce Campbell, please. I felt like he was wasted because it just kind of was. He was there, and then Strange cursed this man to try to kill himself for 3 weeks, which is like, okay, so that's not a superhero thing to do at all. Maybe disarm him before you decide to curse him to self-harm for 3 weeks.
You know, Steven, see, that's the thing. He breaks the rules and is a hero, but I break the rules and I'm a villain. Is that fair? Anyway, back to the Illuminati. We are walked into a room. Mordo's like, you will now be judged by the Illuminati. Let me introduce them. And I'm pretty sure he opens with Captain Carter, which if you watched any of the trailers like leading up the last couple weeks, that would have been spoiled for you. I would love to know if this is the Captain Carter that we've witnessed in the What If series, because I really hope it's not, because I liked it and I don't want it to be done. So there you go. Take that away. She dies later.
My opinion of that is that it doesn't matter, because What If doesn't matter.
What If is canon?
Well, yeah, but
I mean, to be
fair,
fair,
everything is arguably canon at this point.
Well, yeah, everything is arguably canon. And to your other point, if there's a multiverse, we can always just pluck it. Surely there's another one, right, that we can pluck. So anyway, regardless, he introduces Captain Carter. She's like, yo, what up? I'm Captain Carter. Then he introduces Black Bolt, which I was not expecting in any
That
reality.
Was the one where I was like, holy crap, they actually got Anson Mount back, who was a good Blackagar Boltagon. They said his name, Blackagar Boltagon. He was Black Bolt in the show. He was.
That's what I thought.
And he was good, but the show was so horribly handled that he wasn't given the chance to be like noticeably good.
So I don't know if we want to park here or maybe come back to this, but I'll just say this now. I was shocked because I never thought we would do the Inhumans again, because we introduced the Inhumans in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That is not canon anymore. That is blacklisted. not canon.
Well, it is canon because everything's canon. Because if what if's canon, then you got a multiverse over here where Agents of Shield happened, and
Okay. Okay, yeah,
I hate multiverse.
Then there
for
was
this
the
very reason.
Then there was the Inhumans show that you just brought up, Steven, which did not do well.
That's an understatement.
I don't even know if that was ever connected to the MCU, but
It was when they were making it, but then 2 episodes later, when they were like, "Oh God, people hate this," they just never even addressed it.
I assumed after both of those that this will just nothing will ever happen with this. So I was shocked to see him. Obviously he's a really cool character in the comic book, so I was like, "This is awesome, great." Then they introduced Captain Marvel, but it's not Brie Larson. It's not Carol Danvers. It's Rambeau, or what's her name? Isn't that her?
Maria
code name?
Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau. So that was kind of a fun twist. She's wearing the green Marvel outfit, which was also interesting. But anyway, it's Captain Marvel. Then they introduce Mr. Fantastic himself. Who's the guy? The actor?
John Krasinski, Jim Halpert.
John
himself.
Krasinski playing Mr. Fantastic. Looks just like all the concept arts that you've ever seen. It looks exactly like that. He teleports in, which I thought was weird.
Because they didn't want a frame of him being there accidentally getting in the shot so you could see him beforehand. He teleported in purely for dramatic effect and for reaction of the audience.
Yeah.
Because that's how they make movies now.
Yeah. Anyway, that was exciting. I do hope that he does end up playing Mr. Fantastic later.
I don't, because hot take, I love John Krasinski. He was terrible as Mr. Fantastic.
I mean,
he was bad.
But he was in this movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but he was bad.
how many lines did he have? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have that many
More
lines.
than Black Bolt.
Okay. Moving on. Then, was there any other members? I mean, I know obviously Professor X at the end, but was there anyone else before that?
No, it was Mordo. He was a member of it.
Right,
Professor X is in it, and they do the leitmotif.
Mordo's there, and then like they kind of start their conversation, and then Professor X, the last member of the Illuminati, wheels in his comic book classic little hover chair. Super
Not
cool.
comic book. X-Men 90s animated series,
series.
For people who had never seen the cartoon, they probably looked at that and thought he was driving a car because it does not translate well to live action. The fact that they did it was cool, but it's like, that's why they haven't shown this in live action, because it looks like he's driving one of those like little Barbie cars that young kids have, like the Barbie Jeeps, but made for a grown adult, and it's just gold.
Yeah. No, Brody, Morbius did not show up and say it's Morbin time. X shows up and is like, we should tell him the truth. And they basically reveal that this world's Doctor Strange, which at first it was revealed to us that he saved the universe from Thanos. He basically Iron Manned it, is what it sounds like. We come here, find out that while everyone else was trying to save the world, he turned to the Darkhold. The Darkhold corrupted him. And he still didn't figure out a way to stop Thanos, but they went after the Book of Vishanti and used the Book of Vishanti, which is basically if the Darkhold is the Book of Evil, the Vishanti is the Book of Good. So whatever, take that as bare bones and basic as that is, just that's all you need to know to understand this. They used the Book of Vishanti to defeat Thanos, but then I'm still not entirely sure why they decided to do this, but because they decided Doctor Strange was not trustworthy and he consented to this, they had Black Bolt annihilate him. And
I like to think that they were all gathered around and they were like, how should we help Doctor Strange? And then Black Bolt, looking at Doctor Strange, was like, I have an idea, but he forgot his powers. And so he just blew him away. And they were like, oh, well, problem solved.
There you go. That's one way to cook a goose. Anyway.
Yep.
They kill him, whatever. I forget exactly. Strange is like, but I'm different. I'm a different Strange.
People have to explain what multiverse means to Doctor Strange, PhD, also sorcerer extraordinaire, prodigy. They have to explain to him what multiverse means no fewer than 4 times in this film.
Yeah. Black Bolt, your mom. Obliterates Doctor Strange. Love it. I forget exactly what their conversation is, but basically Strange is like, well, this isn't fair. Give me the Book of Ashanti. I need the Book of Ashanti. How do I find it? Whatever. And then Wanda shows up. The Illuminati's like, hold that thought. We're going to go handle this. And they go to where Wanda is. And first, they're all standing there, and Mr. Fantastic's kind of leading the conversation. And she's asking him if he has a wife and kids.
Can I do this part?
Exciting. Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Fantastic goes up because you got Captain Carter there, you got Captain Marvel there, you got Black Bolt there, you got Reed Richards, and they're like, "Hey Wanda, stop! This is literally supposed to be 3 of the most powerful beings in this universe plus Captain Carter," and they're like, "Yo, Wanda, stop! This is bad." And Wanda's like, Reed's like, "I got kids of my own. I understand." And she's like, "Is their mother still alive?" And he's like, "Yes." And she goes, "Good. Then there will be someone left to take care of them." This is supposed to be the character that we sympathized with at one point.
Yeah.
Who was literally like, "I'm about to send you to hell so your kids will have no father." So then, smartest man in the multiverse. And I say multiverse because, there's like a whole thing in the comics where Reed Richards has a council of Reeds, kind of like the council of Ricks from Rick and Morty. Reed Richards has that.
Yep.
It's the greatest minds of the multiverse altogether. Point being, Reed Richards is supposed to be the most intelligent. He says to Wanda, I'm looking the camera in the eye for this. "Wanda, please stop. Black Bolt can kill you with a single sound from his mouth." And Black Bolt's just like, "Oh yeah." And then he does the crossed arms like, "Oh, I'm coming for you, Wanda," like, "This stupid idiot. She has no idea." And then Wanda just goes, "What mouth?"
Uh-huh.
And then it pans out to show Black Bolt has no mouth anymore. How'd she do that? We don't know. In Wanda's power set, she can remove mouths. And so Black Bolt being a literal king of some of the most powerful beings that exist, Black Bolt from the comics, who has fought the Hulk toe to toe and held his ground. Black Bolt goes from, "Ooh, you stupid idiot," to, "Oh no, my mouth. Where will the sound go? I don't have ears." And then his brain literally pops out the side of his body.
He makes like a and that like hits where his mouth should be and bounces back and blows his brain out.
You literally see like the side of his skull turn into Play-Doh.
Yeah. That was dark. That was so fucking dark. Like,
that was as dark as it was disrespectful to my man Blackagar Boltagon. How dare you, Sam Raimi? And then Reed is like, "Gosh, this woman's so powerful that she made this man's mouth disappear and literally just killed one of the most powerful beings I know. Let's reach out an arm to her and try to stop her that way."
He only stretches like twice in this whole thing.
It's because that stretching special effect is a pain to deal with.
Oh, I'm sure it is. He like goes for the stretch and then he turns into spaghetti and dies.
You know when you play with Play-Doh as a kid and you got the thing to make like Play-Doh spaghetti.
Funny enough, Wanda actually made that appear, and she just took him through that.
She turned him into Play-Doh spaghetti, but she was like, somewhere at this point, Wanda was like, "This man said he had kids, loves his kids, loves his wife. Play-Doh spaghetti is too good for him. Let's make his head explode too."
So I missed that.
His head pops.
Oh, does it? I forgot that.
It does. So not only is Mr. Fantastic, smartest man in the multiverse, one of the most powerful beings, turned to Play-Doh spaghetti, but his head also exploded.
Wow.
And during none of this have Captain Marvel or Captain Carter moved a single muscle. And then when they look at each other, instead of like, "Oh my God, they killed our fellow Illuminati member. They killed the smartest guy, the guy who probably made Ultron, the guy who has been bankrolling literally everything." Like, it didn't faze them. Instead, Maria Rambeau looks over to Captain Carter with the face that says, "Can you believe this girl?"
The audacity.
The audacity of this witch coming in and turning our man into Play-Doh spaghetti, popping his head, killing killing Black Bolt over there. And so they start fighting, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Captain Marvel gets hit away for several seconds for some reason, just so Captain Carter can do something. I'll give you two guesses as to what Captain Carter does. She throws her shield. I'm just going to spoil it for. She throws her shield.
Yeah.
She throws her shield, and Wanda, because they have to have the line, Wanda says, "Haven't you had enough?" And then Captain Carter, because they're contractually obligated anytime they have a character that throws a shield to say this line, she goes, "I can do this all day." Throws her shield again. It gets redirected. She uses that Uno reverse card on her. She gets sliced in half by her own shield. So she could, in fact, not do this all day. She could only do it for about 3 more seconds. And then Captain Marvel fights her some more and gets crushed by a statue. She's dead.
See, that was, of all of them, that was the one I was most confused about. I was like, there's no way a statue would have killed Captain Marvel. And this will come up later because Wanda dies, quote unquote, to being crushed by a statue. And it's just like, there's really no way that she died to that. So anyway, whatever.
So all of that happened in the course of about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Very, very fast. Very fast.
And then Morbius showed up and said, "It's Morbin
time." Wanda wipes the floor with them. I forget what Doctor Strange was. Oh, he's still stuck in the room.
Doctor Strange is just talking to Mordo.
He and Mordo have a non-magical fight, which was just super interesting, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They eventually break out of that. He leaves.
Mordo is left.
He like does the Mario or the Prince of Persia like wall run jump ups Doctor Strange does out of this like pit that he and Mordo had fallen into.
Maybe a 10-foot drop.
Maybe. Mordo could have easily done pretty much the exact same move, but doesn't. He just is like, well,
Mordo,
I'm in this hole now.
He's in the hole and he's just like, "I'll get you next time, Spider-Man." But instead, he actually says, "Can't you see why I don't like you very much?" That's a quote. That's dialogue.
That's a quote.
I just said dialogue to you.
What I hate most about this Mordo is that it's not our Mordo. And like we've had the story set up for our Mordo, but we only get this Mordo. Whatever. He gets out.
He disappears from the movie. We never see him again.
No, that's it. That was him. That was a lot. He's
still in the.
All we know, he's still in that hole. None of the robots came to get him out. Nothing.
Yeah.
Strange.
If only we had seen sorcerers use some kind of portal of some kind.
Well, but
perhaps attached to a ring.
He's got the magic cuff on, so he can't use magic. The magic canceling cuff that Doctor Strange
that
had.
That also makes no sense. That's not how magic.
Oh, I know. I don't know how that would work, but anyway, I could understand neutralizing someone's powers, but not how do you neutralize Anyway, Doctor Strange regroups with America and Christine.
But first,
I'm getting there. We, they're trying to bail out to get to the Book of Ashanti. There's a portal that the Defender Strange, whatever, Illuminati Strange set up. So they're going to use that. But to stall for time, we've got one more Illuminati member to get rid of. I mean, to fight Wanda. Doctor
hear
Strange.
Beep, beep behind one.
He's not in his yellow seat anymore. He's in just like one of those carts you drive in the Walmart.
Yes.
And he comes up and he's like, "I'm gonna get in your mind, Wanda." And so he gets into her mind. They have like a mind moment, whatever. And he's in this white room, or there's a white room with a door. And Professor X walks out. He opens the door. He goes in. He finds this rebel. He looks in the hole, and Wanda reaches out. And it's not our Wanda. It's this universe's Wanda that he's like, that Wanda is dream walking in her body. And so Professor X is like, "Perhaps if I can pull you out, we can free you."
I love and hate this because it's like, this is such bad dialogue. And this is a recurring thing throughout the entire film where people think they speak what they're thinking, or like in a way that doesn't need to be said, or they speak what they're doing in a way that doesn't need to be said because they're clearly doing it. And this was such an insult. Bringing back Patrick Stewart to reprise this role after one of the greatest send-offs of any comic book character in Logan. He literally is reaching in, and you can clearly see his thought is, well, maybe if I get her out of the rubble. Maybe the rubble is what's suppressing the good side of Wanda. He thought maybe this is the good side of Wanda, and the Dark Phoenix side, I mean the Darkhold side of Wanda is in control. Maybe bringing this out will bring back good Wanda. But he actually like yells out like to Wanda, who doesn't even need to know this information. She just needs to know, I need to get out from under this rubble. But he yells at her, perhaps if I get you out of the rubble, it will break the spell.
Anyway,
so bad, guys.
He does not pull her out. In fact, Wanda brings up a red cloud of smoke, and as
Then
the
she
smoke
snaps.
gets closer, a like zombie-looking Wanda, which was really strange that this is the only time we've ever seen this, but she like pops out, grabs his head, snaps his neck in the mind, but she snapped his neck in real life.
Whoa, if you die in your dreams, you die for real. I guess.
No. Only your other multi. If you die in your dream, that's a multiverse of you dying.
But if you have a dream of your version of yourself dying, that's not a multiverse. That's just you dying.
Brody in the chat, yes, this is our spoiler cast of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So if you're tuning in,
That's why we have green.
that's why we
Comic
have the
Sans at
spoiler
bottom.
thing down there. It's also in the title, but we are going full spoilers here. So,
But here's your big spoiler. Don't go see it. It's bad. You're going to get more entertainment out of this summary than you would have actually seen the film.
So just stick around.
Just stick around.
Anyway, so she starts chasing after Strange, America, and Christine. She's beat to hell.
I think you underestimate how many notes I have, so we may want to fast
I'm
track
trying to. They get to the Book of Ashanti. Wanda burns it. I forget exactly what happens from here. America activates her powers, but she and Wanda go back through the portal. Or she goes through I don't know. Anyway, Wanda ends up with America, and Christine and Doctor Strange end up in the evil Doctor Strange universe. He meets the evil Doctor Strange. She basically kills him. I forget how he kills him, but he takes his Darkhold, and now Doctor Strange is going to break the rules. He's going to dream walk in a dead body. He's going to take over the body of the Defender Strange.
Which, when you think about it, why did they just, not having the knowledge that they would need a dead version of Doctor Strange in the future, why didn't they just burn the corpse? Why didn't they just send it somewhere else? Why didn't they, dispose of it as soon as possible? Because technically that, if it's a body that is fresh enough that can be dreamwalked into, which makes no sense because it's dead and has no consciousness to dream. If it's that fresh, then couldn't it have caused an incursion or have been dangerous to leave behind a non-616 version of Doctor Strange? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. It could have bit him in the ass real bad, but
Yes.
Plot.
They were just like, let's put it in the roof of this New York building.
What's up, Chris? I remember you. It's been probably a lot of streams. I don't remember the last one you were here. Akib does bring up this is probably in your notes, so maybe we can come back to it. There was a cool music fight scene. We'll go back to that.
That's in my notes, but it was it's half positive, more than half negative.
Basically, to just hit that point real quick, they have this music fight, which was like a cool one, or like if Doctor Strange had done a music move to attack evil Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange had maybe responded with an attack, that would have been enough. But that's their whole fight is music.
Yeah, like it's like, and just remind me, and we'll skip this in the notes later since we're here. I'll just go ahead and say it. It was like, there's an old cartoon, Jake, called Shaolin Showdown. And basically, just to summarize real quick, there's these artifacts that if two people trying to get the artifacts at the same time, it's a cartoon on Kids WB, by the way, just keep that in mind. One of them can be like, I challenge you to a Shaolin Showdown, and they can wager their artifact versus this other person's artifact, and they determine the rules of the showdown. For example, one might be you have to race while not spilling a single drop of water in a cup. Stuff like that. It was as if at some point they had an unspoken challenge where they were like, the rules of this magic duel are only music notes allowed. And so there's a moment where MCU Strange is like blocking against these music notes, and he's looking around like, if only I had another music note somewhere, or perhaps an instrument of some kind. And then he sees like
a harp,
and he's just like, there it is. That's my salvation. And then he makes one harp note and kills Strange with the harp note. It was stupid. It looked cool, but it was stupid.
Anyway, he uses evil Doctor Strange Darkhold book to dreamwalk into the dead body that is still in our universe, which causes these demons to come out, and they're like, Doctor Strange, you have committed an ultimate sin, blah, 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 blah. Christine protects his body. He uses the demons to fly. He goes to fight Wanda. He beats... Well, he doesn't even beat Wanda.
No, he fails. He
fails.
Gets beat bad.
He gets beat rough. But now it's America's turn. America decides she suddenly knows how to use her powers, and she punches Wanda, and then eventually she just gives Wanda what she wants, which is a universe where she can be with her kids. So she opens a portal to where she can be with her kids. Weirdly enough, it's these, again, the same universe that we also the Illuminati's universe. So this Wanda that's been beat to hell by our universe is Wanda taking over her body. The boys are terrified of her. They don't know who she, like, they're not sure what's happening. They don't like her. Wanda hits herself, like she almost kills her other multiverse self. It's a bad deal. But anyway, she witnesses the boys' terror. The other Wanda comes up and is like, they will be loved. And Wanda basically decides, you know what? It's not fair for me to take another one of me's happiness just because I don't have happiness. Which is like, honestly, just she should have gotten there a lot faster on her own. But I digress.
Killing that awful Reed Richards guy, though, that had the nerve of bringing up his own kids, though, that was completely justified.
Right. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Anyway, so she gives up. She destroys... America takes her and Wong away. They leave Defender Strange, which is our Strange, with Wanda. She breaks the Darkhold mountain and presumably dies. Really doubt she's dead.
She's not dead.
Anyway, America comes, picks up Strange. He and Christine have a gentle moment. And then I believe... we come back. We see America is now training to be a sorceress. At Kamatage, Wong is like, "You feel okay? You used the Darkhold. Like that's supposed to have consequences, right?" Strange is like, "I'm good." Then we cut to a scene at the New York Sanctum. He's repairing his broken watch that Christine gave him, which is a healing moment for his character.
Was not
even though nothing really happened other than he met one other version.
It was as if they said, oh crap, this movie's supposed to be about Stephen Strange, and we have not done any kind of build up to any art kind of thing for him. Quick, look at the notes. What'd we set up in the first movie? The watch? Okay, cool. Let's do the watch.
Yeah. Anyway, he repairs that. He walks out into the street. He has a stroke, and a third eye pops up, and that's it. That's the end. The evil Doctor Strange also had a third eye, so apparently...
The Darkhold causes you to grow a third eye, unless if you're a woman, in which case it doesn't.
I'm not even gonna go there. Brody Uwu, this is episode 232, and how you do that is you just have a podcast once a week, every week for 6 years, and then you end up somewhere in that number.
Quick break. I'm gonna get some water.
Okay, that's pretty much it. There's an end credit scene where a character who's supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Realm, where Dormammu was, she shows up. She's like, "Yo, Strange, you biffed some stuff, dude, and you're gonna fix it." And he's like, "Okay, bet, let's go." And they go. So it's like, wow, you know what I mean? I didn't mean it so much as a call out, Brody. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Yeah, that's how Wanda and the one multiverse and a bunch of madness ended. I love it. So anyway, that's that. Now, I'll just start. We should have started.
Chris, why do you feel called out?
Because I was saying about the podcast number that we've just been doing it for a long time. One thing, we probably should have done this first, but basically, I kind of rank this movie with like Thor: The Dark World. It's very low on my movie rankings. I think it's fine. Oh my god, we'll get to the B.
It's in my notes, Vortex. Don't worry.
I don't hate this movie, but I do not think it was a good Marvel movie. And I'm disappointed in a lot of it. I do want to go through your notes, Steven, and I think that'll get to a lot of the points that we don't like, if you couldn't tell through some of our just retelling of the story. But ultimately, I was hugely disappointed because since what is this, phase 4, post Endgame had started, I pretty much assumed, knowing that Multiverse of Madness was coming, that all the other movies and shows were basically just going to be scrambling for time to get to Multiverse of Madness. I really, really, really thought that Multiverse of Madness would kind of be our Avengers 1 of the first phase, which introduced Thanos, gave us there was already an intertwining plot happening up to Avengers. But once we had Thanos, it was like, that's where we're headed. That is what this is all building up to. And every other movie, to some degree, connected to that overarching thread. As of right now, we do not have a clear thread other than all of this is happening in the same universe, which is still cool. But having that build up to, like, we are building towards this Thanos fight, that was great to have and to see the connecting pieces happening.
Well, it was a natural way for you to connect every film moving forward,
Yes.
even in seemingly small waves. Thor: The Dark World, like you said, at least it had an Infinity Stone.
It had an Infinity Stone. So I'd almost rank this just below Dark World. But anyway, I mean, as far as I can tell, like, this really gives us nothing in that realm of, like, where are we headed? What are we doing?
It gives no definitive. There's implied stuff like maybe we'll do Secret Wars, maybe, but like when you do multiverse, when you do the thing, when you dare to make the movie with multiverse in the title, and you visit basically one universe, and by the end of things, there is no consequence from that.
Well, and
you've done a bad job.
Well, and even in the trailers, I believe there's a line about how Doctor Strange has messed with the multiverse. That is never brought up. That is never an issue. That is never a concern. They do express that he's the greatest threat to the multiverse, which we still, like, other than just Doctor Strange's in almost every timeline, are kind of like Loki's, how they're going to push the boundaries. Other than that, we don't really get any clarification there. So, like, again, if the Illuminati had been almost a Watcher type character that's outside of the multiverse,
and the Illuminati even would have been a great Thanos, like not necessarily like being the villain,
enemy, but just some sort of connecting thread that's
something to move us towards. Because the Illuminati in the comics, for those who don't know, is basically the gathering of the greatest minds or the leaders of the greatest factions in the MC or in the Marvel universe, such as Professor Xavier, Captain America, Iron Man, Namor, Black Panther, Black Bolt. The gathering of the most influential people through all the corners of the universe to make the decisions that no one else can make before they need to be brought to everyone else. So basically they were a secret society that one of the main things that they did was, leading up to Secret Wars, there was going to be an incursion between one universe and another universe, and the Illuminati destroyed the other one preemptively so that there wouldn't be the risk of losing 616. But they didn't tell anyone about it. So it was basically a shadow organization that worked for what they perceived to be the greater good, but they made some rough calls. That's way more interesting than just some gathering of basically this timeline's Avengers.
Yeah. And even to that point, like, maybe we are building to Secret Wars, but like, we have no definitive,
we can't say that for sure.
Yeah, we have no definitive, like, they could turn that around, but nothing has been definitive. And I expected that to be this movie. I now have no hope of that. I don't think that's what Thor: Dark World or Thor: Love and Thunder is going to do. I mean,
looking at the slate of movies coming after that, we've got Black Panther 2, which is not going to touch that. They've got enough problems on their
shit
plate
to deal with.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is going to be the culmination of the trilogy, so they're not going to do it. So, like, where the hell are we going?
I have no idea. So I mean, if that's just their decision for Phase 4, then okay, like, fine.
Yeah, the decision to make it suck.
Kevin Feige has said that they are basically in a way rebuilding the Avengers again, in the sense that we've concluded an arc, and now we're kind of back at, this is really Phase 1 Mark II, right? But I really don't think we needed that many. We have had a ton of building blocks. Granted, we've only had like 4 or 5 movies, but we've also had like 6 shows.
Yeah, even at the end of Iron Man 1, we knew we were headed towards Avengers.
Nick Fury.
At the end of Iron Man 2, we knew Thor was coming. Like there were these building blocks that progressively went from, we knew as soon as Nick Fury said Avengers Initiative, we knew we were headed towards Avengers. Every single movie pushed us further towards Avengers.
Yeah.
Phase 1 was a very efficient phase. So like even to say that this is like a new phase 1, they are botching the hell out of it.
Yeah.
They're just doing nothing.
Yeah. All right, Steven, let's get through your notes because I think that
Excellent.
will reveal a lot of your points as well. But
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting from the top. I wrote these while I was watching the film, so a lot of them are going to be just sassy. America yells, "You're killing me." Dumb. So kind of to the point of Xavier, perhaps if I reach out to you, it'll break this. To that point, this is another big moment of like, did you really need to say that for anyone's benefit, even the audience? Because even her just saying something along the lines of, and she did, even her saying like, but we're friends, that's enough. That does the job. In fact, it's even more interesting because then you're left to wonder, well, what does that do to her?
Mm-hmm.
And then when that becomes a thing later in the movie, it's left to your imagination of like, what would happen to America if this horrible thing is done to her? Straight up saying, "You're killing me," makes it so much less interesting, and it's sloppy dialogue because it's only for the benefit of people who are too stupid to look at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Doctor friend at Christine's wedding,
Brody
makes pointed.
Aeronator was here earlier, so he's fine. He was in the chat just a second ago, so you just missed him. But anyway, go ahead.
Doctor Strange's friend, the doctor friend at Christine's wedding, makes pointed comment about there being no other way. Basically, he just kind of sits next to Steven, and he's just like, "Hey, my cats are dead, and I wish that someone could have made my cats not dead."
His brothers were also dead, to be fair, but go ahead.
But like just the way he said it,
yeah,
it kind of felt like what I said to Vortex, because Vortex, I was live chatting with him during this. I said to Vortex, that was even more pointed than everyone in Rise of Skywalker being obsessed with Rey's last name.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever anybody was like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm Rey. Rey, who? Like it just felt like that was them looking at the audience and saying, "Did you get that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get what we're trying to like?" That's where we're at. That's a theme. That's called thematic. It was bad. Like we're 2 scenes in, by the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dumb woman with a baby went to the Prometheus school of running away from things. So as soon as Doctor Strange goes to fight big tentacle demon, there is a woman with a baby in a stroller just going straight. She's running. There's a car flipping behind her. There's all this space to her left. And she just keeps going straight like, "I gotta outrun this car." But she could have just turned left.
Yeah. I missed that. I'm glad you had
that's
notes for
called
that.
That's called going to the Prometheus school of running away from things, when you only know how to run in a straight line from a thing that is falling in a straight line.
Gotcha.
The briefcase guy. The shot of Strange doing all the, Naruto hand signs, and there's the dude with the briefcase that runs next to him, and it's just 2 different shots of the same thing, but they used 2 different takes back to back. So you see the guy with the briefcase in the first shot run out of frame. They show the demon, then they go back to Strange doing more hand signals, and the dude in the briefcase is there again, and he runs away in a different way. That is so bad. That is so sloppy. How?
I like to think, I wish I had paid more attention in that scene because it didn't jump out to me when I was watching in the movie theater. So I wonder if yours was just messed up. But anyway,
no, this was not. This was the only thing that was messed up about mine is that some dude in a Middle Eastern language would yell ads in the middle of a silent moment. Unless if that actually was in the movie.
I don't remember that, so no.
Okay, cool. I hate America Chavez. I said that, and I said that just because I remember when I wrote this, the scene where she's talking to Wong and Strange, and someone says Spider-Man, and for like the 5th time, someone's like, Spider-Man? Does he shoot webs out of his butt? I'm so over that joke. It's not funny. It's overplayed, and that's why I wrote I hate America Chavez there, because I was so over it.
This is one spot that we disagree. I thought America was great. The only thing I didn't like about her was that she is just dropped in. Here you go. Here's this girl.
But what's great about her?
I mean, I just thought her character was fun.
What was fun about it?
I mean, she's young, she's energetic. I thought her jokes were funny, and her power set is cool. But
what you just described, barring her power set is cool, is something we've gotten.
I'm not saying she's the most unique. Already. Like, you could compare her to Kate Bishop, right?
Literally anybody, yeah.
But Kate Bishop is like 10,000 times cooler. So,
right.
But I'm not saying. But that doesn't. Just because there's 3 other ones doesn't make America a bad version of it.
But if she doesn't do what is already being done in a unique way or in a way that is better or different, then she's not a good character. She's just kind of a template that works. And that I don't hate her. I hate her because of that line. I thought she was just not good. Like, I had no attachment to her character. She basically was a blank slate that said wacky lines that a teenager might say. And those, like, it was just completely ununique. And just like, I just had no attachment to that because I've seen it done better in other places. So to me, it was just like, this is lame. Sure, if you want to make her like unique in some way rather than just a plot device to move the plot forward, yeah, I could see that. But to me, she just was bland and overdone. Like I've seen this a million times, and so I was bored with it.
No, I like it.
Wanda's motivation makes less sense the more time you spend with it. That's just kind of a generalization of Wanda's motivation in this movie.
You're this may be in deeper notes, but let's just park here and have this conversation.
Are we doing it?
So, we can have that conversation too. WandaVision, she creates a hex. She takes over a town, and she brings back Vision. And Vision and her have 2 boys, Billy and Tommy, which are who she's chasing after in this movie. That series ends with her accepting the death of Vision and saying goodbye to her kids.
So you'd think that she was accepting the fact that her kids aren't real?
No, I don't. I don't think she was accepting that. I think she was accepting that they are dead. And
they're not real.
That they were. They are real. They are real.
But they're not.
They are though.
They're not.
They are though.
They're not.
They are. And at the very least, it should be understood to the audience that Wanda believes they are real, whether you believe they are real or not.
Okay.
She believed them to be real.
Question: If Wanda believed that her kids were real in the 616 timeline, why didn't she just make another hex and make them again?
So here again, this is a lot of why didn't they do? This is kind of what I want to get to. So let me back up. Thank you. Oh, Vortex is just quoting me. They are real to me. Yes.
No, Vortex knows that they're not real.
So this kind of goes into the thread. Why didn't she? That's a great question. I would like to think that she realized that was a bad plan. Why didn't she create the hex in the apple garden and just have her boys? That's a great question.
The correct answer is because they weren't real and she was seeking a real version of them.
They were real.
They were not real in WandaVision, because if they were, she would just do it again.
So
you can say that it's because she didn't think of that or whatever, but regardless, the writing that we are given implies they're not even implied. It's just said they are not real, and her motivations lead her because they aren't real, and she knows that they're not real, and she wants a version that is, which is why she seeks someone that can jump the multiverse in the first place. Because if the versions that she made were real, then she'd just do it again. Also, Gosh, what was I gonna say? Flynn distracted me.
Well, I was just gonna say she dreams of them every night, so that's how we know they're in another multiverse. So just so you know, 'cause
Right.
remember,
So
dreams are you living your multiverse self.
so another thing about that, about the
Well,
kids.
I want to jump off of that real quick. I get where you're coming from, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But I just don't.
Hey, Minnie.
I think that's more of a plot hole, like kind of like we talk about with a lot of Marvel stuff of like, well, why didn't they just let X character do this, or why didn't X character show up and do this, or how are you going to tell me that X character got knocked out when they can snap their fingers and do whatever? I think it's one of those moments of, well, shit, why didn't she just create a new hex with no people?
But again, if they were real to her, the versions she created were real to her, she didn't need to jump multiverse. She would have just done it again.
So that's kind of my point is WandaVision ends, and the end credit scene is her using the Darkhold, presumably looking for her kids or looking for a way to maybe save her family, and we hear the boys crying out, and that's where the series ends. Is she hears her boys crying out, which leads into what she's supposed to be doing here in Multiverse of Madness. I would have assumed from the end of the show, kind of like you're saying, Steven, she would be looking for a way to create another hex and bring them back, or make some deal with a devil or a demon to bring them back. I was not expecting multiverse jumping to be part of her plan to revive them.
But she made a hex again. She made a hex in the apple orchard for some reason, and for some reason she didn't make new kids. She didn't make a new vision, because the end of WandaVision was her realizing that what she created was not real, and she was seeking something more that was real, which is why she didn't create new companions within the hex.
Well, here's my question. Why? I mean, I guess the answer is just because it's a multiverse, and there's one that it worked out. But like, how are they real in the other multiverses?
We'll never know. But
see, I think there's just a lot of plot hole details, because I truly believe that they were real, but they could only exist in the hex.
Everything telling you. Like everything in this movie, everything outside of the movie from the show says they were not real, because her arc would have not gone where it was. The end of WandaVision was her saying goodbye to her kids and to Vision, because she accepted they are not real. That is why we ended with her in another hex. We knew it was another hex because she was, well, we don't know if she was astral projecting while awake or creating an illusion in the hex of her being awake, and then she was actually in the room studying the Darkhold. If her arc had not come to a point of her realizing Westview, the people within it, are not real, she would have had another version of Vision, another version of the kids. Her arc in this, and you could say it's bad writing. You're absolutely right. It is bad writing. There are plot holes. But the multiverse that we're given tells us Billy and Tommy are not real outside of universes in which they are. The hex versions are not real.
See, I think none of it makes sense to me, but we can agree to disagree and move on from that. I think that's enough conversating on that.
Also, last thing.
What I really wanted to get to was her motivations, regardless of if they are real or not, do not make any sense, which was your note. And so that's where I wanted to go.
An additional note, since we're just kind of here and we can move on from it.
Glad you're having fun, bro.
That's fine. But the kids were completely different.
Right.
And you could say that was directing, that was writing, whatever.
It's a different multiverse, Steven. The kids in that multiverse didn't have the personality. They had no personality.
Exactly, because hear me out. If I'm to explain Billy and Tommy in the way that makes the most sense, with the world, multiverse, universe, whatever that we're given.
Yep.
Wanda dreamed of Billy and Tommy before Westview or during Westview, whatever. She created a version of Billy and Tommy based solely on the appearance of these kids that she saw. and she based their personalities, because she didn't have enough to give them personalities. She based their personalities off of kid tropes from sitcoms that she grew up with learning English in Sokovia. So Billy and Tommy that she created in Westview are not Billy and Tommy. They are simply the shells of what she dreamed her kids looked like, with personality from television implemented into them, which is why they have more distinct individual personalities in WandaVision, and why they behave more like your typical kid tropes. You've got one, which is the shyer, more book smart one, and then you've got the troublemaker who is the troublemaker. Like that's, and so I believe, based on what we're given, Billy and Tommy are absolutely nothing like that, which is why we don't see that in the movie. Again, say it's bad writing, say it's bad performance, whatever. We don't see any personality from them whatsoever. We just see them talking at the same time, being the perfect kids, all that kind of stuff. They aren't the same Billy and Tommy, which furthers my belief and, you know, the fact that the ones she created were not real.
So here's where I get hung up on. First off, I do want to say, Stephen, you are making excellent arguments, and your explanation of like her motivation of she accepts that they're not real. That's why she doesn't make another hex, blah, blah, blah. That makes a lot of sense. I track with that. Me personally, I just don't believe that they weren't real. I understand what you're saying, but she created two people who could only exist in this hex, who had personalities, and they were real inside of the hex. And so that's where I get hung up on, is they were real people. Arguably, they were more people than they are outside of the hex, in the other multiverses.
Right,
so,
but that was because she designed their personalities based
I know.
on...
Well, I get that.
And so they're no more real than a video game character.
Do you think Vision is real?
The version she created is not.
Okay, but the Vision, just Vision we know, is he real?
Vision we know, yes, because he was created to exist independently of any outside manipulating forces in the world that she also exists in. Real means you can get into the semantics of basically, we
could go back and forth on this for literally forever, because this is what I believe, and it's not going to be different.
Vision was real, but he wasn't human. Yeah. Real doesn't mean human.
I consider Vision human.
He's not.
I know he is an android.
He has elements of humanity, but he is not human.
Well, I would give him all the rights of a human. That's what I'm saying.
But he's not a human.
I know.
He was not birthed from a woman. He was not. He has no flesh and blood. He is a machine. He is a machine that is given personality through outside sources like the Mind Stone.
Yep.
But he exists independently from outside forces that are actively making the decision to make him continue to exist. It's the argument again with the Green Lantern ring. If Hal Jordan makes a hard light construct that is a person, he can give it personality. He can make it, even if without using words, he can give it personality by giving it nonverbal gestures. But the moment he stops willing it into existence, it goes away. Is it real? No. Because it is, and I think that's the difference, the distinction they're looking for, is that Billy and Tommy, Vision, the Hex, everything had to be willed into existence at all times. Otherwise, it ceased to exist. It did not exist on its own. On its own, basically. Like it is not self-sustaining. It is not.
We could literally go on for. I honestly, I think this is a really interesting psychological experiment of just like what certain people attach realness to. You
could bring in Vision's argument, the ship of Theseus. Mm-hmm. He literally brings that argument in. His debate comes to, I believe that what makes it the ship is the memories that are attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Billy and Tommy have no memories, and Wanda has no memories of them.
But she does. You just said that they were created from her dream memories, which, as we know from this movie, dreams are you living the life of your multiverse self.
But the dream was a visual, then nothing more.
I mean, she would have heard stuff.
I could have memories of a boat, but I can think of that boat. And if I was to say that's the ship of Theseus, I would be wrong. Because there is no attachment to that boat and the memories of it being a specific ship. It is simply a boat that I saw. And I could attach stories to that boat. I could perhaps even think this is probably what the ship of Theseus looked like. But according to Vision's argument, and I know I'm getting into large philosophical arguments, but honestly, in a different timeline, I was probably a philosopher because I love these kinds of conversations. Just because I imagine what I think the ship of Theseus looks like by name alone, that does not make it the ship of Theseus. Therefore, it is not real.
We'll move on. I really do think it's an interesting conversation, but we're 2 hours in and we've got a lot to go, I assume. So anyway, all of that to say, Wanda's motivations in this are
stupid,
are confusing. But I digress. Move on, Steven.
Dreams being a window to the multiverse came right out of nowhere.
I think we've addressed that enough. But yeah, it was such a hilarious. It's funny how quickly they start bringing that up. America explains it to Wong and Strange. We witness Strange having the dream, witnessing. It's just really funny. And like, of all the things you could just like nail as like a rule for the multiverse, that's a real rough one to do, because obviously we all have dreams. Sometimes some of us may not even dream the same as other people dream. So like, how is that going to work? It's just going to be really funny anytime a dream is mentioned, anytime a dream had been mentioned in the MCU. Now we have to look at it and think of it as, oh, that's a multiverse self. Like that's another multiverse where Thor is being chased by a chicken or whatever the hell they want to come up with. So I digress.
How did Wanda know Strange gave Thanos the time stone? He had the time stone, but Wanda spoke as if she knew that he gave it willingly.
That is yep. Yep. No idea.
Scarlet Witch is just a replacement for the Phoenix. It absolutely is.
I don't know about all of that. But
it is, because like even from WandaVision, I thought it was weird how they were like, oh yeah, we've prophesied the Scarlet Witch. To my knowledge, I could be wrong. Comics reiterate all the time, so maybe there was an iteration of the comics in which, and maybe it's all of them. I don't know the character of Scarlet Witch very well. If I'm wrong, at me. I don't care. To my knowledge, Scarlet Witch is never like a character that is prophesied. It is not like an entity that possesses other beings. It is simply Wanda Maximoff. The Phoenix is an entity that possesses Jean Grey amongst other things, as if it's because Phoenix is prophesied. It is. Go ahead.
Do you consider the Scarlet Witch to be possessing Wanda?
It is the fulfillment of a prophecy that she will become the Scarlet Witch and do all of these things, which is less Phoenix in the sense of it is an entity possessing her, but it is the fulfillment of a prophecy. And I'm not saying that I think the Scarlet Witch is an entity out there, but the way that the road is paved for the Dark Phoenix saga and the Scarlet Witch are very similar.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they're very similar stories, to where if they were to do Dark Phoenix in a few years, I think they would be hard pressed to make it feel different from the Scarlet Witch.
I see. The only place I disagree with you there is, again, it's not an evil being possessing Wanda. It's just Wanda's powers being prophesied as this evil force, and I don't know that she's just straight up evil, even though she is doing a lot of bad.
But that's the thing. The Darkhold possessed her. So you could, even though the Scarlet Witch prophecy, whatever, the Darkhold is not the Scarlet Witch, but the Darkhold kind of, in a way, possessing her is your placeholder for the Phoenix possessing Jean Grey.
Okay, yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from.
It is very similar.
It's very similar to where it feels way too soon for them to do this again. Fox literally just did it in Dark Phoenix, and it was bad.
It was rough.
And like when they do X-Men again, Lord knows they're going to introduce Jean Grey and immediately make her do Dark Phoenix again, because that's, according to them, the only thing that Jean Grey ever did.
Sorry, I just saw Vortex's comment about kind of awkward too, because everyone on Earth has dreams about using the bathroom. It's like, oh, yep. You're looking at another version of your dick. So there you go. Think about that.
there's going to be some guy who is the next Scarlet Witch, and he's just trying to get to a universe in which his dick is bigger.
Anyway, move on.
Moving on. Kamartaj has no defenses against magic.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It just doesn't. They're just like, everyone, quick, put up your shields.
Yeah.
And it's almost as like it's as bad probably as the gosh, what are they called? No, the Nova Corps. The Nova Corps and their net casting connecting ships, where it's like, we will stop this ship from landing, but also we're extremely vulnerable. And if one of us goes, we all go. It's terrible design. And for one sorcerer to be able to create such a weakness, like lacking one, is so dumb.
Yeah.
And like,
she's not a sorcerer though. She's a witch. And
well, I know, but I'm saying like she got in the head of one sorcerer and him running away and happening to bump into other sorcerers who have been trained to stay focused. Like it was so contrived. It was so dumb. Chris, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't know how you're calling him out either.
Anyway, Wanda knows everything, I guess.
What do you know what that was in reference to specifically? I don't disagree at all.
That was in reference to the I think Christine. She mentioned Christine.
Yeah.
And that was, after already saying you gave Thanos the time stone. Blah, blah, blah. The jump between Wanda in WandaVision and this is insane. Her development feels like we missed an entire movie. We talked about that personally.
Yeah.
But to me, it would have she went from possibly learning a lesson and realizing my creations here are not real, straight to already having learned the Darkhold, learned all this information, all this knowledge, all these spells and everything, and just being on a killing spree.
Yeah.
I think we needed more in between, specifically her learning the Darkhold and becoming corrupted by the Darkhold to see that gradually happen.
Yeah.
Because it was super jarring here.
Yeah. I disagree on some of the semantics of what she learned from WandaVision, but overall, she learned and was horrified, I think, by her realization of what she had done to that town. And so for her to have already done something wrong, and then to somehow set it right, kind of, and to come out of that, to then be, like you're saying here, where she's willing to travel to another multiverse by any means necessary, killing a kid, killing anyone who's going to protect that kid, then going to another multiverse, killing anyone who wants to stop her there, and then also killing herself to take over the life. You know what I mean? It's just like that is a huge jump.
To put it this way, and I don't have the actual number, but let's just say 5 minutes of screen time. From 5 minutes of screen time of Wanda, and screen time being not just her on screen, but her development as a character that we see as an audience, that we have some form of attachment to. She goes from seeing the eyes of everyone in Westview and realizing what a monster she's been, to killing anyone in her way to get what she wants. That's what I'm talking about in the sense of an arc where we see that she is affected by the things that she did at the beginning of that quote unquote 5 minutes. And then that means nothing because within that 5 minutes, she is back to, I will kill whatever bastard I need to, to get what I want. And that's what I'm talking about. Whether she learned to be a good guy or not in WandaVision, obviously she didn't, but there were lessons that she did learn. There were realizations that she made that were thrown out the window at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah. All right, move on.
Strange is a complete dork in every interaction with America just to make her look good. Not every, but there were, I wrote this after a few times. I can't remember what exactly they are.
Like when he didn't know Spanish?
Yes, that was one of them. It just felt like,
I remember remarking to Lee Allison that I thought it was strange that Wong knew Spanish, but not Strange.
Yeah.
Like if either of them should have known it, I feel like Strange would have just as easily known it. If Wong knew it, Strange should have known it. I don't get that.
Wong knowing it makes perfect sense to me. Strange should not be a complete fish out of water when someone starts speaking another language.
They both should have known it. Is what it really works out to. But yeah.
But again, it's that sacrificial character writing of they like Wong better than they like Steven right now. They're trying to, in the world of professional wrestling, you have characters that the writers are trying to get over, which means they're trying to push to the audience, hey, you really like this character. You really like this character. That's what they do with America in this movie, where in interactions with other characters, she's given the advantage from a writing standpoint just so that she can look good. And I felt that at least 3 times in this movie, probably more because I wrote this before they even left Cumbertosh. They wasted Bruce Campbell. That's debatable. He's a great physical actor. We got to see that. That was good. But I just feel like they could have done more with him. I mean, like in the Spider-Man movies, for example, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, he was phenomenal in every single one of those movies because he was in Spider-Man 1, the guy that introduced the human spider, where he like turned around at the wrestling match. He was like, "What's your name, kid?" And Peter's like, "The human spider," and he just goes, "That sucks." Spider-Man. Like that was great. Spider-Man 2, he was like the bellhop. Maybe that was Spider-Man. No, Spider-Man 3, he was the guy at the theater. He was funny in all of them. In this one, it just kind of felt like they were doing the thing because they had to.
Yeah. Now that you've explained that, thank you for explaining that. I agree. He definitely was.
He is such a good actor.
He was there just to be there to have that.
Yeah, he is so likable. He is such a good actor. He's got so much charisma, and you're going to waste him for the Pizza Papa.
Yeah.
That's like do something with him. Like
he should have been a scientist at the Baxter building.
Yes, or something. Even like the leaked script for Spider-Man 4 with the Sam Raimi movie showed that in like the sketchings that he was going to be Mysterio in that universe, but like he was just going to be like captured and arrested, and that was going to be his scene. And it was theorized that in all of these other movies, he was the same guy, just working a bunch of odd jobs. Like, throw a nod to that since you're so obsessed with making nods to previous movies. Make it to where he appears as Mysterio for like 2 seconds in this universe.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Right.
But no, they wasted him. Wanda spiked the lens. She literally looks at the camera.
Oh, that was terrifying.
Yeah, did not like that. Also, what does that mean?
So you didn't like that?
I like it. Felt like, ooh, but also like, okay, sure, that's creepy, but what does that mean?
So
like, what are you doing with that?
So when I said I didn't like it, I meant I was terrified. Like it really that one unsettled me. From a should they have done it, should they have not done it, I didn't mind it as much because that happened in WandaVision a couple times, probably by accident, but at the same time,
but we did see in WandaVision there was a camera and there was a director. Right. That's the difference. They did something with that. And in this, it just kind of felt like, isn't it so creepy? I'm looking at the lens, you know?
I mean, I just think Wanda is becoming to some degree
disassociating from reality.
Yeah. I don't know. It terrified me. I was like, oh shit, she sees us watching this. She's dreaming of us. So I don't know. I didn't mind it from that standpoint, but I
here's my next one is one of my favorite things about the movie because it's so amateur and just shows that the writers of these movies don't watch the MCU, which also Sam Raimi, he's not caught up on the MCU. He hasn't watched all the movies. So that's cool. He didn't write this, but that's troubling.
Yeah.
Christine calls the MCU designation 616.
Okay, yeah,
Here we go.
Uh-huh.
In Spider-Man Far From Home, a movie that happened, 3 years ago?
Not very long. It was the very first movie.
It was the very first post-Endgame movie.
Yeah.
Mysterio shows up, and as this is what I said to Vortex, because I was lit. I was so lit up by this. I said Mysterio while talking out of his fishbowl ass. Basically meaning he didn't know there was a multiverse. He was just like, and he even says in that movie, gosh, these people will eat that up. Talking about us, the audience, but also talking about Peter. But he said, yeah, this world's called 616. And at the time we were like, that's clever. He said the comic timeline, but we know that's not true because the comics exist. So the comics are Universe 616. Because when you start dealing with multiverse and everything is canon, then you start getting into the debate of, well, are the comic books canon? And now they're saying, no, they're not, because this is 616. Or they're just saying it's the biggest coincidence ever that Mysterio, making things up, called it 616. Christine, who was designating all of the timelines, verses.
Multiverses, yeah.
Also called it 616. And big picture, both of them are coincidentally right.
Yeah,
that's bad.
That is really funny. Yeah, that's one of those, like you said, somebody's not watching. It feels like the little details are suddenly starting to slip through the cracks because that is something.
There's not quality control like there used to be.
Yeah.
These movies used to be really tight. Like, sure, there was the occasional plot hole, but
it was the occasional plot hole. This movie has all kind of questions. Anyway,
this dialogue is ass. I don't know where I wrote that, but I did. I think that was in regard to talking with the Illuminati and how it just felt like poorly written dialogue. I think what I said to Vortex was it felt like the scene in No Way Home when all of the villains shared a room and they were all just riffing off of each other. And
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Something of a scientist myself. That whole thing. I hated that scene specifically because like it felt like every villain had to say the thing, or they had to basically, by the end of that scene, the uninitiated should be initiated based on what these villains were saying to each other, and it felt unnatural.
Right.
And I know that's a nitpick, but again, you add up these scripting nitpicks and it becomes, wow, this isn't a nitpick. This is just a badly written movie. Those cameos were even more pointless than a Stan Lee cameo.
I would argue that a Stan Lee cameo is more important or more.
That's what
meaningful.
I said.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, these cameos were even more pointless than a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
So more yeah.
Yeah.
I can do this all day. Really?
In the theater, I was like, ha. But yeah, you're right. It's one of those.
It's like this joke is so overplayed. It was over. Well, like the moment that the MCU acknowledged this joke is overplayed, and the last time you could get a laugh out of that was when Steve Rogers himself responded to it and said, "I know." That's the peak of the joke. That is where you kill it.
Yep.
But they didn't. Literally everyone speaks what they are doing and what is happening. We talked about that. They basically only go to one universe in this, and we don't really see any of the universe. We just see that it's high tech. There are pizza poppers, and the Illuminati exists. So we don't even get to like explore this universe. Like
we know that red means go in this universe,
which is so dumb. Okay, Minnie is still there. I thought that I'd left her outside. I did not notice that, Akib. Apparently they had a restaurant named Stanley in this movie. That's pretty good. But the whole thing that I said about like, what if they replaced Bruce Campbell with a hack version of Mysterio? That would have helped with this a lot, because we would have seen there are different types of like different versions of different characters in this universe. We may have gotten to see like a quick action scene where this universe's version of Spider-Man, not unmasked. We just see that there is a Spider-Man, something like that. Just throw in little things to make it more interesting so we understand how different these universes can be. Something like that would have helped.
Yeah.
It would have made this feel like more of a place rather than like more like an actual other universe rather than just a city with slight differences.
Again, this being multiverse of madness, there's not nearly enough multiverse in this.
No.
One episode, which is like 15 or 20 minutes of What If, has more multiverse than this does. So Anyway.
Almost done. Why did they stop running in the sewer? Because jump scare.
When the door's shut. Yeah,
they're just like, the door is like shaking and they're just like, hold. Maybe
like,
we'll
why?
stop.
Why? You have a destination. Go to that. It doesn't matter.
They needed to set up. They just need to set up the jump scare. Because a lot of these scenes are blocked like a cheap horror movie.
And the tension, that tension builds for way too long. There's a close-up shot of each person as they watch the door.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
And
just not.
and I don't think I have this in my notes, but ultimately, this movie felt like a Sam Raimi movie first and a Marvel movie second, and that's not a good thing. At this point, and they, I would have more leniency for them if they hadn't marketed this movie as the movie that would change everything. But they did. They absolutely did. And so I can understand doing a one-off sorcery-based Marvel movie that they frame as more of a horror movie, but don't act like it's going to be the game changer, because you did. Like, I am totally for high-profile directors that have a style getting to make a Marvel movie. That's interesting. I hope that Edgar Wright someday comes back to the MCU, because he was going to make Ant-Man. That would have been a blast. I still like the original Ant-Man, but it could have been an Edgar Wright movie, and that would have been amazing. So I'm totally fine with directors coming in and getting to do their style, but don't do it in these movies that are allegedly really important, because you're just lying at that point.
I think it could have been done and this movie still be really important.
Right.
But this movie just wasn't really important. It turns out that this movie was not important.
But when your director is their style is more in the vein of creepy and weird and gore and all that stuff, that's not the director voice that you want in the room when your movie should be more about moving the pendulum forward. Like, I don't like Joss Whedon, really, but I think he did a great job with Avengers. He was a great choice because he is known as a guy who can make every voice in a room full of people heard. Mm-hmm. He does great at group dialogue and making sure that everyone feels there and present. That's why he was a good choice for such an ensemble cast movie. Sam Raimi is not known for that kind of stuff or known for massive world building. So he wasn't a good choice for the movie that this should have been.
Right.
Again, totally for a more dark movie where we deal with this kind of stuff. But if you're going to put a horror director, which Scott Derrickson did Doctor Strange 1, and he is a horror director, and I thought he did a good job. But if you're going to put a horror director behind one of these movies and say, make a horror movie, do it in the dark dimension. Make it based in the dark dimension.
Well, that's maybe what we're going. That's maybe what Doctor Strange 3 will be. But
we already had the Doctor Strange horror movie. Well, and it wasn't that.
Well,
so it was wasted.
Again, really, this one is the most egregious, I would say. Yeah. Of just like.
Well, there was the America looking at the puddle of water.
Yeah, but that wasn't tension built. You know what I mean? Like, they were actively defending, I guess.
Yeah, and they were standing there waiting to be jump scared so they could run away.
Yes, exactly. That's what the sewer scene was. But I will say, for Sam Raimi, I don't think the magic in this movie would have been as cool if it wasn't classified as a horror movie, because we're used to just the glowing orange, shapes and whatever.
The whips and the shields.
We had the whip where he does, and it turns into dragons at the end. There's in the very first fight scene, he summons two giant ogre hands to grab a light post, rip it out of the ground, and shove it into the thing. Like, there were a lot of just I don't know.
I feel like that credit
stuff that was summoned.
I feel like that credit. Maybe Raimi had something to do with that, but I feel like.
I mean, obviously,
that
was a visual effects person, but I have to imagine that because he wanted it to be scary,
the tone had kind of been set, and so he gave those kind of notes or something.
Yes, I'm sure he said, "I don't want to see a bunch of orange glowing stuff. I want something at the end of that's scary." So,
I would be curious, and I need to look this up. And actually, we're almost done with the notes, so I've got 2 more left. But Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Wanda, actually, I saw a quote from her today that was basically saying these people with the excessive criticism towards Marvel movies need to stop. And she had a good point, but she's also wrong, because her point was so many people are behind these movies. You got VFX artists, you've got people who work in the orchestra that do the score, all of these moving parts. And we decide if it's a bad movie or not based on so few of those moving parts. And so I do agree, a lot goes into making a movie. Even the worst of Marvel movies, a lot goes into them. and we need to respect and appreciate the work that goes into it. And with this, I am giving credit where credit's due.
Well,
I thought the music was good, and I thought the VFX at parts were really good.
I was about to say, I don't know if we've like really said what we liked about this, but like the magic in this was amazing. Like
it was way better than the first Doctor Strange. It was much more Infinity War than Doctor Strange, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because whenever Doctor Strange is doing one of the things, you're just like, oh shoot, what could he do? And that's peak Strange.
Yes.
And that's what you want to see. Mm-hmm. The fact that I recognized visually spells that he was using based on whether like it's a spell that I've seen in a video game that has Doctor Strange in it, or based on what I know about the comics, that's good. Great job. And I acknowledge that. But I think to her, against her point, just because there are a lot of people behind this doesn't mean that you can just say it's a good movie because the effects were great, because if we did that, we'd have even more Transformers movies.
Well, and she has a great point that in general we just shouldn't be as critical of. But I mean, I think it's not the VFX person's fault that there's not a plan. You know what I mean?
That's why we point fingers at the director, because the director has these calls.
Well, I mean, at this point, I want to point the finger at Kevin Feige, because if he's still steering this ship, I mean, he's walked away from the wheel. I mean, I seriously. Again, I have been in defense of a lot of these series saying that I'm willing to let the Ralph Boner joke slide, because I bet you in Multiverse of Madness, that's going to become, oh shit, that was him. The multiverse is here. Like I've said from the get-go, I've been waiting for that ball to drop, and I really did think this was the movie, because I guess we didn't really know what No Way Home was going to be, which is hilarious now that it came first. But we didn't know that we didn't know that No Way Home was going to be a multiverse movie.
Well, we did when they showed Dr. Octopus was there.
Right. But like we knew about Multiverse of Madness before we knew about No Way Home.
Yes. We knew that it was going to be multiversal before No Way Home showed that trailer that had Doc Ock in it.
Yes. So from getting out of Endgame, knowing kind of that we think the multiverse is kind of the next thing they're going to do. And I think that was because the Multiverse of Madness had that in the name, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of assumed that everything else would build up to this, where suddenly the multiverse is here.
Yep.
And then
Make Loki, it would make Loki pay off. It would make WandaVision pay off. It would make Spider-Man No Way Home kind of pay off. Like it would be like, oh, we can look back in hindsight and say these meant something, and we still can't do that.
Akib is like, Jake has been so positive about everything, and now they screwed up so bad Jake can't be positive. Again,
it's great. I'm loving this.
I again do not hate the movie. I
do.
I am disappointed because I was expecting a lot more. And again, it's a well-made movie. Well, it's visually there's a lot of really cool magic. You know, whatever. I like the horror elements, but it just
if this movie had taken place pre-Infinity War, I thought it would have been just fine. But it kind of like in the same thing with Black Widow, too little, too late. And I haven't even seen that one. I just don't want to, because it's like I'd watch Marvel mainly for the big picture writing. That stuff fascinates me. That's what hooked me. But here,
go ahead. No. I'm just. I don't want to interrupt
it just felt like we needed more steps between Doctor Strange 1 and Infinity War anyway, because there was a very significant power gap. And I think if we had gotten 2 Doctor Strange movies, this being one of them that focused on introducing the multiverse, as well as moving his power set forward, introducing some of these concepts, then it would have been much better received, because then we could be on this end of things and, you know, be like, well, we've already done that. So maybe that meant something back then, and maybe that's something we can look towards. But now it just feels like build up for nothing.
And I think ultimately what it comes down to is we've had a lot of TV shows which have already done more for the multiverse than I ever would have expected them to do. Have
they though?
Again, that's the point, right?
That's the question.
Loki, when that all popped off, we met Kang, which it's granted it wasn't the Kang, it was a version of Kang, but anyway,
in the moment that felt huge.
Yeah,
and but guess what? It's been how long since that show? And like a year and a half, whatever.
Well,
I actually have no frame of time.
And that's what I'm getting to is like, I didn't expect them to give us the next Thanos in a TV show because that's they're experimenting with that in a lot of ways. They're putting some stuff out there. I took that to be filler content to get us to some of the movies, especially with 2020 and COVID happening. They needed time. So those movies were to entertain us and get us, to keep some things happening to get us to wherever. Again, none of it has gone anywhere yet, but a lot more was revealed in those than I thought. Yeah. But I thought for sure the next main character movie that we get is where it's all going to happen. Black Widow, she's dead, so this was a flashback movie. We got Shang-Chi, which is a new hero, so this should not fall on his shoulders, understandably. We got Spider-Man No Way Home, which did a lot for the multiverse, but it's still technically Sony's movie. It just had multiverse involved, is what I mean. It had multiverse in it, which is all I mean by that. But it's a Sony-owned movie. So
did nothing for the MCU as a whole. It just said the words.
It could not be the one to push that forward. I thought the same thing with Far From Home, where I thought it was crazy that was either the last movie in Phase 3 or the first movie in Phase 4.
I think it was the last movie in 3.
I think that's what they counted it as because, again, you want to start Phase 4 with a Sony movie? Like, that just seems like a lot to put on a movie that's not even technically yours. Like, it is connected, but anyway. I digress. Doctor Strange is the first one that we knew was going to involve the multiverse. That was a hero that we have established who is an important character. If this is where we were going,
you completely
this
forgot
should have been it.
But I think that sentiment kind of speaks
for but again,
Eternals.
Same thing with Shang-Chi. These are new characters.
Yeah.
Who, granted, should have more importance than I think they really did. I never saw that one, so I don't really know.
I still haven't seen it.
I know the end credit scene where Thanos' normal-looking brother shows up, played by Harry Styles. Yeah.
Is he Henry Styles?
Harry Styles.
I think I said Henry.
He shows up, right? And he wants to bring Thanos back, which, like, I really hope that's not where we're going. But anyway, this just should have been the one to do it, and it wasn't. And that's ultimately what was the problem. Yep. Did you have any other notes, Stephen? Or
I had a couple more.
Okay.
But, music fight was cool, but also really stupid. We talked about that. Wanda's kids are terrible in this. We talked about that. Then the final note I wrote, you could tell towards the back end, I just got to the point where I was like, I was saying the same things. So like I stopped writing notes at certain parts, but also I was so bored in this. And I know, like, I'm not going to say that this movie's boring, but I'm going to say that I was bored. Mm-hmm. I was so bored with 30 minutes to go. And so I went to bed and then came back and watched the rest the next day. Because this movie was in such a rush to do something with Wanda, I feel like there's literally nothing left to do with her. So I hope she stays dead. I know she won't, but I hope she does. Or at the very least that we pull a different version of her. If X-Men are coming from a different universe, timeline, whatever, you need to start over with her because they jumped the shark big time with her in this.
That is, I think, ultimately the biggest sin of this movie is
there's just nothing left for her.
Well, there's no way to redeem her, in my opinion, at this point. Not to say that no one is redeemable, but
we already felt, wow, her redemption arc is going to be hard after WandaVision.
Yep.
And then they just kept going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. We talked about on a stream, I don't know if we've said that, we'll say this here, but originally it was rumored that Nightmare, which is a demon in the comics, was going to be the main bad guy in this. And I really hate to think that at some point they said, what if we made Wanda the demon? And that pretty much just take her character to where she is now. And again, I don't know. Say it again.
When did WandaVision come out? 2020?
Yeah. Give or take.
Let me check.
2020. 2021?
I feel like a lot of the reshoots.
Wait, when was it? When was it?
January 2021.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like a lot of the reshoots and stuff that happened with this, it wasn't just reshoots. It was doctoring of the script, and it was just kind of redoing so much of this movie. I think a lot of that was in response to WandaVision, because WandaVision was received well, and they wanted to put more Wanda in this. But also, I think internet culture played a big role in the drafting of this movie, where people saw. And this is probably oversimplifying everything. I don't know how long it takes to do reshoots or rewrite script and re-implement all that kind of stuff, but it almost feels like all of the theories and everything online of Wanda's going to be bad, that got in their head, and they completely redid the script and changed it to where we had the idea of like dreams being a window into the multiverse, and maybe that's how we would have gotten more Nightmare. And they just kind of made that a thing rather than like a key point. And then they just forced Wanda into the spotlight as the villain. And they just completely left behind the idea of going to several different universes and the implications of that. And like, it just felt, the writing felt very reactive.
Well, and you know what's so funny about that, Steven? Because you're making great points. But who is the villain that we have been theorizing to the point that it's a joke now, was behind what's happening to Wanda?
Mephisto. And it made way more sense. Like I've said,
wouldn't it have made more sense? And wouldn't it have been a great way to have your cake and eat it too, where people are loving this kind of on the edge Wanda? Like, let's have that.
We'll get there, Vortex. We'll end discussion.
Let's have that. But then, boom, plot twist, Mephisto, a demon. When Doctor Strange uses the dead body, Mephisto show up. It could have happened. It would have made the most sense out of anything we've had, which all has related to Mephisto. This would have been the time to bring that up. It would justify still some good at Wanda, some redemption to happen. She wasn't doing she was being manipulated by a demon. That's pretty easy to, convince people she can come back from that, right?
Yeah.
And then we have been theorizing that Mephisto would be in something for it to finally fucking happen.
The reason they won't do it is because that won't perform in the Chinese market. They would reject Mephisto because of the portrayal of basically Satan. Like that would not fly in China. And that's just something that I've heard that makes a lot of sense, because China totally influences the creation of a lot of these movies, unfortunately. But I mean, I just looked it up because I was curious. Nightmare. I looked up his power set.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read this for you real quick. Nightmare is a class 3 demon who is able to capture a sleeping person's astral form and bring it to his realm. There they are tormented in various ways as he chooses. He can also possess people to work through them. Nightmare can summon a number of lower beings in his realm, such as succubi, to do his bidding. Under normal conditions, Nightmare cannot affect an individual who is awake. However, his images and other creations can continue to haunt a person in their waking hours.
Would have been great. Would have been a good connection, but I will. I guess that makes sense. That's why they didn't do him either.
Yeah.
If it's a China big issue there, but
well, see, that could have flown because that's not a literal portrayal of Satan, which Mephisto, it's hard to not portray him as Satan. But
so Akib is bringing up, wasn't the Darkhold manipulating her this whole time? Maybe.
Which is why I think, and I mentioned this the other day, and it's the last time I'll mention it, and then we'll talk about the B, and then we can wrap this thing in a bow. I think the end of WandaVision, Mephisto or Nightmare or some being was using the Darkhold, or using, since she was in her astral projected form, creeping into that and making her hear the cries of her children. And that wasn't actually them. She wasn't hearing them. She was being tricked. And so she was being manipulated into doing the bidding of the Darkhold so that we could get some kind of unleashing of Nightmare or Mephisto or some being in another dimension. So you could still even have Wanda doing the thing where she's trying to get her kids back. Don't make her a freaking monster psychopath, but have her do things and make decisions that ultimately, whether they're not necessarily affect people negatively directly, but her decisions cause unbeknownst to her, the unleashing of Nightmare / Mephisto.
It could have also been Kang. What if Kang somehow was using the Darkhold? Apparently, since the Darkhold has to do with multiverse, that's not a thing, but it is.
But again, Kang is timelines, not multiverse.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, let's talk about the bee. So what Vortex is referencing here is that we see a flashback of America Chavez's childhood with her two mothers. They're picking flowers. As I remember it from the comics, she exists in a utopian society that exists outside of the multiverse. So she is not there. That's why she doesn't have any multiverse selves. But of course, the real answer and definitive way to know is she doesn't dream. So there you go. Anyway, she's picking flowers with her mom. A bee buzzes at her, and it scares her.
It's framed up as like the perfect afternoon. She's just like, oh, moms, come get me. And the moms are walking towards her holding hands, just like, oh, that America. It's just the perfect setting. It's just like nothing could ruin this day.
And then a bee flies by. America screams because she's a child and she got scared. A portal opens up, sucks both her mothers into the portal. Yeah, gone. Presumably not dead. They're probably just in another universe somewhere, and she'll probably find them eventually. Who knows if we'll ever really get anything with her again? But
it's funnier to me if they're dead, because just because, like I said, the whole Inhumans, the episode of that show when Black Bolt backtalks his parents and accidentally just evaporates them, like they just turn to nothing. Just because he was backtalking them. That's hilarious, unintentionally, but it's funny. So it's funnier to me if they're dead. If she dropped volcanoes, like in a volcano dimension where it's only volcanoes.
We have gone almost 3 hours, so we have got to shut this down. I've got to go to bed. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed our spoiler cast of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We will probably talk about this forever as we go on through the rest of the multiverse. It's been a great time. Hope you've enjoyed it. Of course, we do the podcast every Monday night, usually around 8:30 Central Standard Time. Only here on YouTube. That's ChortleGames.com. Of course, we're still doing the audio podcast, so if you're a podcast or Spotify listener, you can listen to it there. But of course, we also do live streams throughout the week. We usually live stream Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Steve and I'm available for all three. Probably can't do all. Actually, I'm not available Saturday night. I will be in your neck of the woods, but I will be dealing with babies and stuff. So I can probably do Thursday and Friday something. We can talk about what those are later. We'll see what's most necessary. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, so tune in for those. Of course, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.